up, everybody? We are just waiting for a few people to show up. But I got old Dave here with me.
Yes.
And tonight we are going to be talking Bigfoot. What is Bigfoot, some would ask?
Bigfoot and
Tonight,
other assaulted beasts.
but tonight is going to be a special night. It's going to see how this does. And next week I'm going to be doing the Dog Man. I got somebody in the basement. What's up, Ryan?
Yo, what's up, Nubs?
How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, doing good.
Is my mic volume okay?
Yeah, yours is good. Yours is good.
All right, all right. So who are we waiting for, Matt and Dave?
Okay. Yeah, yours is good. Yours is good.
No,
Matt.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Gregs?
Hey, Jenny, Greg, everybody.
I love everybody in chat. Hi, Ali, Greg, how you doing? Shazzy, how is everybody tonight? Good, bloody well.
What's going on, Dave?
Hey,
over here, sir. How about you? I trust you've been keeping well.
You know, just doing my thing, going through some scripts, some photos, some videos, getting ready to record again.
Well, the people's evidence for me. Well, evidence that have been sent to me, video footage UFO-wise, which is sort of my own, if you like, within the time investigated the case, and somebody else's footage of something coming through a wall, like a dark shape. But I'm not the investigator, I'm just doing some video analysis on that, so that's been pretty interesting.
Yeah, nice. Nice. Hey, what's going on, Oracles?
Hey, Maria. BFF, Deanna. Thank everybody for coming. We just waiting on Matt.
You know, I haven't even talked to Matt today. Is he doing okay?
Yeah, I messaged him, sent him the link earlier.
Okay.
And yeah, I figured we'd do a little thing and then have maybe an open panel, maybe, and see if people...
A Bigfoot Q&A, huh?
Yeah.
Those are always fun.
Because I'm trying to learn more about Cryptic, and so that's why I'm trying to do this and be like, you know what? Cryptic Saturday will be awesome. So I think I'm going to do this every week or every other week, see how it goes. And
that's a good idea. I'm going to warn you, though, Nubs. It's a rabbit hole. Once you start learning about one cryptid and you start learning about the others, you just have to go down so many rabbit holes, bro. Before you know it, Bigfoot's tied to ghosts and UFOs and everything else in between.
On top of which, you got the fact that internationally, and then you start seeing religious connotations of different cultures. And it goes along with the cryptids, so it becomes a really big topic.
Oh, hey, Dave, somebody's saying that your audio is muffled.
Really? I meant to say that before. Are you hearing that? Right?
That was Colleen that said that.
Does that sound okay to you?
Sounds a little muffled on my end.
Okay.
Maybe you're low.
All right, I'll try something. One sec.
Uh-oh. You got to watch out for Asher. She's a real troublemaker. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, Asher, the PLE's here. What's up, Past Life? Shazzy.
Yo, woo. Ashers, who invited you? No. I'm kidding.
Okay, is that any better?
Much better. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Okie dokie, cool.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the religious stuff, Dave. Man, I got into an argument with somebody about that stuff earlier.
That's always fun, isn't it?
Not really, no. I mean, basically, this guy was just saying I had no knowledge because I didn't believe everything was demonic. And I'm just going, dude, my research style is different than yours. Come on.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Hi, Gillian. By the way, who else have I missed? Hiya, Past Life. Sorry, I'm just catching up with what's going on in chat. Well, yes, it's always good to get out the big wooden spoon and stir the religious pot.
Oh, absolutely.
Bam!
Well, this guy just believes that everything is demonic, that nothing has any natural order to it.
What, you mean you don't think everything is demonic?
Well, no. I mean, Asher's is demonic, sure, but everything else.
There you go. That is a fair point, yeah.
No, I honestly don't think everything is demonic in origin, man. I don't.
I think very little, if anything at all, is personally.
Well, I mean, you got to look at all the supernatural aspects and encounters, but even then, is it demonic? Not necessarily, no.
I mean, it could be evil, but that doesn't mean it's demonic. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I mean, it might be something that's, scary or a terrifying situation,
look at
but does
me.
that make it demonic? No.
Look at me. I look demonic, but I'm not demonic.
Oops.
You don't look. No, you don't look demonic.
Oh, Mike the Naked Bigfoot.
You sort of got a look of like a really, really old teddy bear where some of the furs come off.
Accurate.
I am Milan's teddy bear.
There you go. Hi, Shrimp.
Shrimp Shack. PLE is demonic. PLE is
PLE is totally demonic, dude. He is Satan himself.
Yeah. Anybody that don't share their faith is demonic.
Oh, really?
You're stirring the pot there, Nubs.
Don't kill me, people.
Transfer of the big spoon goes from Ryan right over to Nubs there.
Yep. Actually, I did show my face. I'm that gray thing in my profile picture.
I got you, PLE. I can let you up. I guess. Okay.
You just get told off by your mum.
No,
you did, didn't you?
Mom was like, I'm getting in the shower.
You just got told off by your mum, didn't you?
Hang on, PLE. I'm sending it to you.
Got told off by your mum in front of everybody on stream.
Pwned.
So for everybody who was here last night, I am sorry about the 20 seconds, or not even 20 seconds, like 5 seconds of the guy's little wiener.
Wait, whoa, what?
Yeah, I had somebody come on panel, and I wasn't paying attention. I just saw Dave's name, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" And I didn't look at the freaking picture. And yeah, I fucked up.
It's okay. It's not like I'm not instantly recognizable with a big purple head. But
I
suppose
I don't know why I didn't even look at the picture. And then
he turned up on the screen with a big purple head too, so it's all good.
So he flashed his jump for you, huh?
Oh yeah, there's always somebody wanting for some kind of attention, you know.
That's just disgusting, man.
One, I'm going to show you guys what the hell demonic is. Number two is I missed dinner.
There's PLE. We were just talking about you.
Hey, PLE's here.
I had just missed a wiener. I guess I got to show some support out for size, huh?
Well,
What's up, guys?
Newbie do actually timestamp. Come on. Yeah, Newbie do actually has a timestamp in the comments.
Colleen, what's going on? Julian?
Because I have no clue how to edit a live stream, and so I'm just going to leave it there because I have no clue how to edit it.
Yeah, it's easy, dude. It's easy.
I can actually. Okay, I'll definitely have to figure that out.
Yeah, just go into your YouTube studios and then click on that video, and it should tell you to edit. So clip it out.
He did last night, Chris. Doris is a vampire. Yes, dorias is a vampire, 100%.
Thank you, Dallas. It's not like I don't like to talk to Shrimp Shack on a regular basis and still getting my name wrong. I mean, jeez, I don't know.
You know, Dave, in the words of a very wise man, once told me, "Hello,
hello,
no, hello,
hello."
You got the British cup of tea?
Oh yes.
So what do you know about Bigfoot, PLE?
Let's see. I didn't want to let this out there in the press for the press to know, but I guess I have to sometime. But yeah, me and Bigfoot, we've been seeing each other. We've been having this little affair thing going on.
Oh no, here we go.
Yeah, he comes knocking at my door because when he wants it, see, that's the problem. Like, only when he's horny, he ever hits me up, you know? Like, he never wants to sit down and have a nice conversation with me at a dinner table in a candlelight, you know? He just won't do it.
Well,
He's
that's
scared of
that's
light.
big hair. That's big hairy beast nature. That's what they like to do.
Yeah,
They like to bend you over and talk to you that way.
yeah, I'm just a bit feminine for him, I guess. He just likes that. Let's get that
The
ass and
language
get
of the language of love.
You are.
out. The language of that ass.
Stupid.
That's funny, man. So we have PLE who has an affair with Bigfoot, and I have a rivalry with the Mothman. Wow, what a small world.
Oh well, when I
So
do,
we're like second cousins now.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, that Mothman though, he's a little bastard, dude. Collapsed a bridge and blamed it on me, little punk.
Mm.
When I do the Mothman series, you definitely have to come up here and tell us about that.
Oh, you know who you have to get up when you do the Mothman? Ashers.
Ashes.
She knows
I'll get
a lot
Ashes.
about
I'm gonna get yeah, I'm gonna get Ashes up here, and then who's the other guy? Big deal. Big deal.
There you go. Yeah, he's the Skinwalker guy.
I can't believe I forgot his name.
Oh
I
yeah,
get
big deal.
live
Yeah.
streams at least once a week when he goes live.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Charmaine?
Hey, Charmaine.
Tremaine.
Charmaine.
Justin.
You're the moth lady.
Ashers is the Moth Lady.
Oh,
How'd you
Ashes.
pizza?
Eli. How'd your pizzas?
Eli.
How'd your wife? How'd your neighbors? It's Eli.
Was that Jesse?
Is that Eli?
Jenny. Yeah, big deal is awesome.
Big deal is he's a big deal from what I hear.
He is, indeed.
How big are Bigfoot baby feet? Ooh, that's a good question. Ryan, Dave, y'all want to answer that?
They're small enough. I mean, they don't start out like 7-8 feet tall. They're probably normal sized babies. So small enough. I mean, you don't have to worry about them.
About the same size as a coal miner's foot.
Hey,
There you go.
A coal miner?
Yeah, they tend to be quite grubby creatures, usually. Stay in the dark, flat-footed, keep them anchored to the floor, you know?
Okay, so like my mom. I got you.
So they're breech babies, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Grumpy assers too.
So have you ever seen a Bigfoot, Dave?
No. I'm sort of in the wrong neck of the woods for that kind of thing, really, Matthew.
Yeah.
Are you
Probably
really?
Dallas as well,
Ryan.
because you're not called Matthew, but, you know.
I saw Ryan's mom, if that counted for Bigfoot.
Hey. Come on now. It does count. It does count.
I've seen videos, Nubs, like most other people.
Yeah.
I seen one on the TV the other day. She was talking and she was like flapping a fish down on a rock, you know, talking about insurance companies or something. I don't know.
Are you sure that wasn't my mom, PLE? That sounds like something she would do.
Talking about Geico or something? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's so my mom then. Yeah, definitely.
AGAOC, we won.
Just say Gaelic.
So, Dave, you brought up an interesting point, though. You don't think that they're in your area?
No, I didn't. It's not that I don't think they're not spread out across the world. I just haven't seen one, which is the question that I asked me, because I haven't seen one. I've had experiences that have been a little bit strange, where there was a dark, shadowy thing that seemed to be about 8-ish foot tall. I covered it a few months ago on a video that I'd done. None of us have got any idea what it is, but it seemed to be sentient and like crashing through the trees.
Wow.
But as far as like an atypical type, like Sasquatch, Bigfoot kind of thing, a big furry ape-man type of thing, and I'm generically speaking there, no, I can't say that I have seen one. Studied them, which is, you know, why we're all here, but I haven't seen one, no.
Yeah, I've yet to see one. I've seen a dog man, but not a Bigfoot.
Oh, you seen the dog man?
Mm-hmm.
We'll be talking about that
Sure
next week. Woohoo!
I see
That
plenty
was
of
actually
adult women around my area.
but
Hey, Eli, and hello, Ailey, and whoever else might have missed in the chat.
Curtis?
No, there's always turtles.
Dead air.
Oh, they're out there. You just got to look for them in the right places.
Well, as soon as Second Star gets up here, I know he's seen some Bigfoot sightings.
That's actually a constant debate too, that they're not in England, and it's just like, if they're in Siberia and China, what makes you think they're not in England?
I think a lot of people sort of have that mindset due to the sheer amount of deforestation that's gone on in the UK. You know, the lack of natural habitat, and I think a lot of people might attribute their habitat as being that kind of thing rather than mountainous regions or maybe caves in moorland or whichever way they might adapt or evolve to be profligate throughout the UK. But I think just what people would assume would be the natural habitat for them, it's just not a lot of it about this. You fly over the UK, it's like a giant patchwork of quilted type thing. It's just massive amounts of agricultural fields, really, in cities and towns, you know?
Right. And I still think it's possible, though. I mean, they adapt really well, so anything could happen.
They're called Yetis in some places. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at Siberia. There's not really a lot of forest where the Yeti's at yet. There you have it.
I personally never seen a Bigfoot myself, or any.
If you had, I'd be jealous, Nubs.
But I would like, because I know there's some around this area. Now I don't know about this area for certain, but I know there's been sightings in Virginia.
Oh, dude, you got so many things in Virginia. It's crazy.
Yeah,
You
I
got
know
big
you got Dogman especially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have devil monkeys. You got a lot of stuff in Virginia.
Never heard of a devil monkey, to be honest with you.
Those things are cool, man. I actually want to see one of those too.
You know, a spider, like the desert spider, is that what that is?
No. These are a lot different. These are just like, think of really small Bigfoots that are about 3 to 4 feet tall, but really pissed off.
Okay, so Bigfoot midgets. Okay,
Pretty much, yeah.
noted.
Yeah, I knew the skunk ape was another type of name.
Mm-hmm.
It is, yeah.
There's so many names for Bigfoot: skunk ape, Oma.
I would like to see one, to be honest with you.
I would too. I would love to see one up close.
I think it'd be interesting to see one, yeah, beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be in the right place, the right place at the right kind of time, really, haven't you? Rather than, you know, I mean, how many times as people like Matthew and yourself go out in the field and do it to the amount of times you might have some kind of weird encounter, what leads you to think you've seen something? I mean, it's the sort of percentages are stacked against, aren't they, really?
Oh, yes, they definitely are. I mean, that's why they call them elusive. So.
Fork Creek Monster is the Arkansas Bigfoot.
Well, isn't the Boggy Creek creature also like, is he Arkansas, that, or Ozark Mountains or something?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Julian, to answer your question there, the Blue Ridge Mountains. No, it's more of a Virginia, isn't it? More of the Appalachian Mountain? No, Shenandoah Valley. That's what it is. The Shenandoah Valley. Yeah. They got Skyland Drive and stuff up there. You know, it's a nice, pretty place. With all that, I think Lynchburg even goes through that too.
Yes, it does.
What's up, Randy?
Brandy.
You get a lot of people here, Nopes.
I know everybody wants to hear about Bigfoot.
He's a popular dude.
Because I got 7 fingers, they feel sorry for me. No.
That's the thing about Nopes, man. He'll never point the finger at you.
Huh?
I point a finger in the nub. Haha.
There's just something about Nubs, but I can't put my finger on it.
Me neither. Something about that 7-finger weirdo.
Well, you know, he loves his snack foods, but he can't have any finger foods.
Oh, damn.
Oh. Anything else? You know, they say I am related to Bigfoot. They say he's my grandpa. But I don't know.
We do.
You do?
We know.
We do. We know
We
everything.
do. We do. Yeah, we do. We do. We can wholeheartedly, categorically say yes.
I thought you was my grandpa.
Yes.
Dave.
You
Hey, come
absolute
through.
furry-faced madman.
It's not Bigfoot that people in Virginia are seeing. It's Nubs.
Yeah, Milan, I am actually Bigfoot. Yeah.
Nubs with
Crickets.
his shirt off.
Yes. Actually, I bet that hair's about growing back when it's on his chest now.
Let me check. No.
I think, to be fair, it's almost confirmed with the fact that you've got cryptoid-type nipples.
Milan's like, he's hairy everywhere.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to be hairy on the soles of your feet. That's just weird.
Hey,
Oh,
speaking
sorry.
of feet, I actually cut my big toe, my deadly toenail, Dave, and PLE.
Oh, yes.
I
Oh,
cut
yes.
that the other night, last night.
We remember those toes very well.
So I don't
Oh.
have a deadly toenail no more. Lex will be
Like
proud.
my stream or your stream?
It was on my
It was-
stream.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. You actually flushed them, flashed them on a PLA stream as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my nipple. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, they're flashing. Yeah.
yeah. No
It was
need for
first
that.
on your stream, Dave, and I only had like 100 subscribers. And then I was like, you know what?
That might be true. That knows, but you'd have to spend more than 10 seconds on my stream for that to work, wouldn't you?
Logic.
Yeah, you got the old burger nipples out, didn't you, on PLE stream? Showed everybody your burger nips.
Ew.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, I guess I gotta pull my Oscar Mayer out once in a while.
Yeah, PLE. I knew it was you.
My little Vinny, my little. What do you want to call that? Vienna sausages.
You're Vienna sausages, yeah. More like ants.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Milan.
Yeah. He's got a mantis in his panties.
I got something in my pants, don't I, Milan? Oh God.
You knocking your old chocolate dildo about there, Nubs?
My big kind of broke.
Yeah, what is that? What is that big wooden thing there? Is that like a massive pepper pot you've got going? Is it a chocolate dildo?
It's supposed to be holding my bed, but it kind of
Oh
broke.
yeah.
But now my bed is just leaning on to my place where I keep my DVDs. So.
Oh well, yeah, obviously your bed sees some action then, doesn't it?
What did you do to your bed,
Only when
Nubs?
I'm sleeping.
He has 3 posts holding that bed up, so it slides on the one part.
Oh yeah, it broke on the other side. Now it's broke on this side. So now it's like leaning down a little bit.
And Nubs, you and I have something in common as of 2 nights ago. I was doing a TikTok, which I never did release it. I was doing a TikTok where I was air guitaring on my bed, and I slid
you
off
got-
my bed. Well, I broke a little piece of the wooding liner in the mattress coming down. So now it feels just a slight bit weird.
I thought you were gonna say that your cat ate a spider.
No, it never. I don't think anybody around here would even touch a spider. You need to
Oh,
find
God,
that, by
no, it's
the way.
bears.
Oh, sure. Cigarettes are bad. Don't do it.
Cigarettes are
Whatever.
bad. Okay.
Hey, Vodka. Hey, Crakey.
tripping earlier on, but when you was talking about the sides of your bed, did you say it had 3? I mean, what are you sleeping in, a triangle?
Well, I mean, yeah, does it hurt anybody's feelings?
Going to sleep in a pyramid or something? When
I praise Buddha. No, I'm just kidding.
Look at
I've
Ash
never
going.
smoked a cigarette in my life, Asher. Cigarettes are bad.
Not when somebody else is smoking them.
Hey, Judy
What's up,
Buffington.
Jen? My girl?
I would actually sleep in a coffin.
I would
Ooh.
do it. In fact,
Spitfire.
isn't
There
there
you go. That's actually not a Wendigo, really, taking the form of a Bigfoot. I mean, Wendigo is more of a spiritual thing. Think along the lines of, well, dare I say, Dave, I think you'll agree with this one. Wendigo is more demonic than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that.
It's not a
Yeah.
cryptid per se. It doesn't have a form all its own.
Oh. See, I didn't know
It's
that.
more of like it's one of those things of like possession, really, and psychoses.
Yeah, I'd definitely go with 95% psychoses, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was doing some research on the Wendigo this past couple of weeks, and oh my god, talk about a rabbit hole.
Woo. Hey, Lucy, what's up, sis?
Lucid. Luce.
So,
Yes.
turtles. Anybody
Yes.
confuse turtles and I don't know where I was going with this, so I'm just
Nothing new there then, Nubs.
turtles on peanut butter.
Well, I mean, there is a species, a mythical beast called a kapka.
I've heard that. Ain't that the same day? Ain't that the
Is it
same
what?
warrior?
Well, it sort of looks a little bit like a turtle, really. It's a frog kind of thing, but just sometimes get described with having a shell on its back, a cavity in the top of its head where it carries its own water around so it can breathe on land and all that kind of reasonable stuff, you know.
There you go.
Nice. So, has anybody seen any cryptic? I know, Ryan, you said you seen a dog man.
Indeed.
Dave, have you seen anything?
Over here in the UK, a big part of what people claim to see is large black cats. Is probably the most prevalent one. Outside of that, as far as cryptids go, and a famous cryptid is obviously the Loch Ness monster. Then there's other ones which have got smaller amounts of sightings and less well known, and the more that carries on, they become even less well known and less prevalent. Well, anyway, years ago, I was out camping with a friend, and we'd gone to this area where there'd been some black cat sightings. But anyway, I'm not going to go into too many details, but I had a pair of combat boots on, and there were a couple of sizes like too small, and I don't know why I wear them. It's not important, but my feet were killing me, as you can imagine. So we set up camping in this field, not where we intended to go, but we thought we'll set up here because my legs are killing. I can't walk any further. I'll get these boots off, tent to my feet, and carry on in the morning. So we set up the tent, and it must have been, I don't know, about 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And we heard all the sheep going absolutely like wild, like bleating, like, but almost otherworldly noises that you wouldn't attribute to being the sound of sheep going mad because they were distressed. But obviously they were distressed. So like stuck our head out the tent, shone the torch about a little bit, didn't see anything, couldn't even see the sheep. Weirdly, but anyway, we tried to go back to sleep, get our heads down and that. And this is about an hour or so later, heard movement outside the tent, what sounded like padding of feet walking in circles around the tent, and what sounded like snorting type of noise. So, of course, there's that usual kind of argument, stick your head out and look, and it's like, no, you stick your head out and have a look, none of us wanted to do it, obviously. Left it a little bit longer, the noise went away, we went to sleep. The following morning, when we woke up, didn't think really a great deal of it, or really weren't going to talk about it. And so we got out of the tent to try and start taking the tent down. and there were like gouges in the side of the tent near the ground sheet, and the guide ropes had been pulled out of the floor. And we'd visited the chippy. I forgot to mention this. I'm sorry. We'd visited a chip shop, the old British chip shop, the night before on the way to this field, and not finished it and left it outside rather than leaving it inside, with the thought being, don't leave food inside the tent because rats will come in and all that kind of thing. And all the papers have been strewn all over the place. And now, we have foxes in this country. Well, that's pretty much the largest predator, or largest acknowledged predator in the UK. And they'll take rubbish and refuse. Indeed, they come into towns to do it. They'll tip over people's, as you call it, garbage cans and stuff to get to the the bits of food that are left in the scraps and so on. But they're not really known for attacking sheep per se, and they're not known for gouging big holes in tents and stuff. But anyway, needless to say, we packed up the tent and got out of there, and we never really spoke about it. But there've been numerous sightings of black cat in that region, which is why we'd gone there. There was this a cave complex kind of thing, lots of rocky outcrops, and it's sort of like on a hillside overlooking a small village in the middle of nowhere. So I suppose that's the closest, apart from the dark shape that I was telling Ryan about earlier. But actually seeing something visually as like a big, hairy, furry, beast-like thing, no, I haven't, no.
But you,
big cats definitely count, though.
Say it again, sorry, Ryan.
Big cats definitely count. Most definitely.
Yeah. Like I say, we've limited predators in this country. I'm fairly well versed in the flora and fauna of the country too. And I know it wasn't a badger. I know it wasn't a fox that caused the damage that I've seen. I don't know what caused the damage. I'm not trying to make any kind of outlandish claims that such a thing that the tent was shredded by a big black cat. But he certainly had us thinking, And with the sheep going mad and squealing and screaming and making all these weird noises, that was one of the reports from that area, actually, because the way it had come about is the person who originally reported it to a UFO group. Now, at the time, I was in a UFO group, and it sort of like got the crossover as being a cattle mutilation. That's sort of what they thought it was because of the sharp incisor kind of. I'm sorry, not incisor, but the claw type marks in it and stuff. So it's sort of originally come in as like a cattle mutilation thing. And then I forgot exactly over the mist of time why we ended up going down, but we went down to scout it out is the ultimate reason we were there. And, well, what happened is what I told you about.
That's interesting. It's funny that not a lot of dogman reports come from your area. I mean, that's kind of where they started, if you think about it.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, absolutely. Lycanthropy and that.
Yeah, if you go back to the original Tales of the Werewolf, they started in Europe and England and all those places. Mm-hmm. So the fact that there's so few dogman sightings from the UK, you have to wonder why.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Take on it?
What?
You want my take on it?
Absolutely.
I think they were hunted. Down, and that they were hunted down in Dave's part of the world, and they had to escape, and that's why they're more seen in the United States than they are anywhere else now.
Well, I mean, they're still seen in Ireland. You have the wolvers, but if you look at the contrast between the United States and Ireland, in Ireland, they're depicted as friendly beings. Over here in the United States, everybody's going to tell you, oh, they're evil, they're man killers, yada, yada, yada. Then you go to Scotland, same thing. They're actually friendly in Scotland as well. So you have to wonder what the hell went down.
Well, it's the same thing with the ones in the Philippines. I mean, they're still considered godlike beings.
That's true.
But I would argue, as far as the UK is concerned, agriculture, arable farming, and animal husbandry has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. And even at a lower level, there's been industry that's also surrounded that. So what type of time frame were these things haunted to extinction within the British Isles then? And given the fact that there's so much hunting, and hunting is a far bigger way of life in the USA than it is in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The likelihood of somebody, your average Joe on the street coming across, a dog man or a lycanthrope, if you like, however you want to call them, in the British Isles, is less likely than you would expect than somebody in the USA who's more likely to be out deer hunting or stalking or, going with wild hogs or coyotes or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I still have to wonder, though, if they're still out there. I mean, just because people aren't seeing them, maybe these things just learn to avoid human beings at all costs. If they were hunted down, like Matt said, it would only follow suit that, now they avoid humans like the plague.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, but you got to think throughout history, dogmen like beings have been worshipped throughout history as godlike beings.
Mm-hmm.
And then religion came in and considered them spawns of hell, and they were, I mean, look look at the medieval times, all right? The medieval Europe, all right? When the case of lycanthropes came around, everything was hunted down that was even resembled anything of a wolf. I mean, what was it? They were given two 20, 30 shillings for each wolf pelt that was brought to them. And if it was black, it was an extra 30 shillings for it.
This is true.
I mean,
that
anything
intensified after the Beast of Gévaudan.
Right. So
They
had to have a reason to get out of there, because every wolf pelt that was brought, it was closer and closer to them.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of being worshipped as gods, they were seen worse than rats.
This is true. This is very, very true.
So whatever little bit of human like intelligence told them to escape, told them to leave. And then you got to think, once they came to America, all the French fur traders and everything like that, they were hunting anything in America to make any kind of profit. So not only did they leave Europe being hunted to almost extinction, they came to America and was hunted to extinction. So,
but in Europe, just before the Dark Ages, even during the height of the Roman Empire and the fall of the Roman Empire, before it split into two parts, and you had Empire, Constantine and stuff, there was Roman auxiliary troops that were like skirmish troops and also scouting troops that absolutely terrified barbarian tribes in Europe and in the UK called velites that wore a wolf headdress.
Yep.
That were really, really outlandishly strong in battle. And how many of what has trickled down to be reports of like rabid wolf beast type men that have like killing and raiding villages have been spawned from velites auxilia that the Roman legionaries used as part of their scouting forces.
Yeah, well, there was also the Viking berserkers that there was the bear type that were the strong masculine ones. Then there was the wolf ones. I mean, all they went into war with was a bear skin and a wolf skin. And
well, some of them only went into war with a foreskin.
Yeah. That is true.
That is true. There were naked warriors that went that fought naked swordsmen. I forget the name of the actual unit, but in the ancient Britons we had them, and so did, like I say, the Viking berserkers, Norsemen. I forget the name of what them troops were called, but they were
same here.
Yeah, that one escapes me too.
But
bear
I mean,
artists.
you got to
I
think.
believe they can be.
But you got to think throughout history. I mean, the vision of a
I don't know.
wolf or bear-like creature, something of power, something of strength. You know, those animals were killed off and ritualized to strengthen the human body. So I mean, it goes to saying the same thing with if they could kill a Sasquatch, or if they could kill a dog man, imagine that magical power from those type of beings. You know,
You see, I think you can only take magical power from that if you believe that they contain a magical power. It doesn't inherently mean that there's a magical power there just because you believe it. You know, I mean, people's belief systems can drive them to do impossible feats just because they have elements of faith. I mean, you've just got to look at certain religious zealots in warfare or in the Middle East. What they'll do, like, you know, they'll take God knows how many bullets before they stopped, and it's not because they're magical. I mean, Ethiopian soldiers in Mogadishu, the militia, were high on cat, you know, like a local type of, like, you know, plant that they chewed, which, you know, the Zulu warriors in the Victorian era. The same kind of thing, you know, and they weren't necessarily magic, you know. Obviously, they didn't have any magical powers. They just they were more difficult to kill because the amount of adrenaline and drug-induced stupid out of them when it comes to fighting.
Right. Well, it goes with the Native American tribes in the U.S. I mean, when they killed somebody, they would scalp them, and they would keep their head. They would keep the skin of their head and their hair, and they believed that it gave them the power and the strength of the person that they killed. I mean, it goes, and just like the headhunters in Africa, the headhunters, you know, in the Philippines, you know, they beheaded and made, you know, shrunken head talismans because they believed that would give them magical powers. It goes to, you know, what they believed in. It goes into what they it goes into a religious aspect also, but it's all these different tribes. They believe that in killing something else, they were able to obtain that power, you know, because it was
also part of the reason why they ate the heart when they made a kill.
Right. It you know, they still do that to this day. I mean, there's certain hunters out there that every time that they kill a deer or whatever, they would devour their their still beating heart before they died, so they could have that power.
Right. It goes to the dog soldiers too, the Native American ones, you know, the ones that used to become werewolves, as they say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think those are, you know, those are dogmen or anything like that. I think those are more along the lines of skinwalkers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like what you just popped up on the chat. Yeah. Every tribe, every hunter, every person throughout history had different belief systems. That's why there.
Obviously.
No, I was saying, you know, each different belief sparked something different and started a new strain. And that's why everything has a magical presence. Everything has, if you kill something, if you drink the blood of a certain animal, you can become immortal. You know, that's why, you know, King Henry had dragon killing tournaments, you know, and they feasted on the blood of those reptilian like creatures because they believed that it had dragon blood in them, and it could make them immortal. It could make them, you know, resilient to any kind of man-made weapon.
That's why some cultures ate the testicles of animals too. It increased fertility.
Right.
That's what they believed.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair to King Henry I, he wasn't like having tournaments where they were killing dragons. He was having tournaments where they were jousting and people dressed as dragons. A bit like you see the Chinese dragons, yeah? It's not like they're actually killing actual dragons. And as far as individual thinking goes and belief systems, that's only a pretty new kind of nuance in society, because for many years, organized religion didn't give you the option of having a unique or individual belief system. You believed what you were told to believe, and that's how religion worked.
Right.
Yep.
Yep, and you cannot question that religion.
Yeah. After one main religion took over, everything else became demonic. It was all other races and belief systems were bastardized to the worst intent.
Sad but true.
And that's happened many years ago with Constantine, didn't it? Bringing Christianity into mainland Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
His belief in it, the message in the sky, so he would win the battle that would save the empire. It's just like another hybridized form of why we've got the crucifix.
Yep. I mean, the crucifix. I mean, the traditional crucifix was an X on the ground, and I mean, it was the exact same way, but instead of being crucified as a cross, you were crucified as an X.
Yeah, well, I mean, a giant A-frame where your legs were spread, your hands were like tied above your head, and you were nailed to each of the points in like a triangular fashion, sometimes upside down the other way about. There were many ways that the Romans crucified, and it depended upon the area that they were in, because there were many principalities, wasn't there? I mean, the Roman Empire for its time in the ancient world was vast, and it outstripped itself. We know this. The Roman soldiers that might be in Mesopotamia or somewhere like that weren't Italians. They were auxiliary troops in that area. They had their own leadership, and when in the Holy Land, it was the Jews that were upholding the law and the crucifixion of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it also you could go into like how they dismembered William Wallace. All right, they pulled him literally apart and put each one of his body parts at a different territory in Scotland, and in some cases, to dishonor that person or to take the power away from believing in that person, they would bury either the head or the testicles.
Yeah, I mean, if you want an accurate representation of what happened to William Wallace, don't watch Braveheart, because that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
He squealed like an absolute pig. He was ripped apart. You know what I mean? And he was quartered. He was screaming.
Oh, sorry, I gotta go potty.
All right, go ahead, bro.
Go make the old.
But that was supposed to be a form of form of dishonor to rip apart the person, but
I think a big part of it as well was so that there wasn't a place for people to go to turn this person into like a pariah almost, or they couldn't be like almost like a kind of cult pilgrimage to this person's gravesite, because there was because they were cut into pieces and spread all over the kingdom as a warning to other people. I mean, during the the Elizabethan Tudor area, you just like the entire London Bridge set with spikes with people's heads stuck on them, decaying in various forms of, I'm sure some of them would have been pink, some of them would have been green. It was a fairly colourful, somber, like horrific type of charade, really. But
and it goes back to the whole entire thing of why, like what Ryan said, why you don't see dogmen in Europe anymore is because You know, they left. You know, they left the hatred instead of being worshipped as gods and everything. They were literally killed off like mongrels.
And here they
So
are
they
stuck
had
in
to
the United
leave.
States. Poor things.
So it's
And
so
that's why they
there's
de-evolved.
there's a very disparate kind of description for what they are then, because if they're dogs, if they're dogmen in the strictest sense where they're cryptids or cryptoids, then they're as such, you know, living, breathing things that haven't been scientifically categorized and can be killed with flesh and blood, yeah? But then the gods as well, which makes them, you know, not just messianic, but omnipotent, mythical, magical creatures. And then they're escaping persecution because they've got human-type qualities. There seems to be a massively disparate mix of what these things actually are, you know. So are they cryptids or what are they? I mean, how do you describe them and defend their existence by chopping and changing which explanation suits the narrative?
Well, here's the thing. In the Catholic Church, there is a quote that is about dogmen. They say, "Do not listen to the dog-faced men because they are liars," and that's all it says about them. So, I mean,
That's open for translation, though. I think that the people they're talking about had disease where they grow the hair from their face.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I don't think they were talking about what we would categorize as a dogman, though.
Yeah.
I really don't. And I think a lot of people just took that and ran with it, though.
Yeah. It's one of those things, you know, they opened it up and let it roll, you know, that whatever it became. So, but that also takes away from their power. Like,
but
you know,
you're sort of putting them across as
Egyptian
mythical,
belief.
magical creatures, though, Matthew. That's how they come. The way that it seems to me is you're describing them as mythical, magical creatures from the depths of time that have got wondrous powers, right? So they're not cryptids, then.
Yeah. I mean, on the cryptid scale, I mean, anything supernatural, anything that can grant powers beyond belief, beyond normal human means, in a way is considered cryptids. I mean, look how we glamorize Sasquatch. We glamorize Sasquatch as disappearing, you know, being able to disappear in a blink of an eye, being able to go into the veil, being able to be in one area and walk away and appear in another area. In a way, we consider cryptids not only creatures that have, you know, surpassed and excelled through extinction.
So as a course of evolution, you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, they have stayed their same way. And why? Why have they stayed the same way? And we consider Sasquatch and dogmen alien-like beings now. Being able to...
From all the reports, though, Matt, I mean, you have people that will see Sasquatch in an area and then see orbs and then see ghosts and then hear disembodied voices. And same thing with Dogman. People will see them disappear. Like my co-host on my show, when he saw his Dogman, this thing had mist coming off of its body. Now, when I saw mine, it was more the physical form. So we do have to take into account that maybe some of these things are a supernatural being that they're seeing, while others are seeing the real deal.
That's what I'm taking from it as well. That's the impression I'm getting from the way they're being described.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really slippery slope, though, guys. It's one of those things that either you're going to acknowledge you're a cryptid, which by definition would be an unverified animal or undiscovered animal. Now, go with that, they're flesh and blood. But if you look at a lot of the reports, you got to stop, pump the brakes, and go, "Oh, are they cryptids?" And honestly, I don't think dogmen are cryptids, really. Because if you're going to add all these powers to them where they can disappear and they have internal glowing eyes that's not from eye shine, it's actually glowing internally, then no, they're not animals. So you really got to throw up the coin and decide which one you want to go with that day.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many different accounts, so many different reports, and it's the same thing throughout history of them. It's not. They're a lot of people say that they're not flesh and blood. A lot of people say they are flesh and blood, but the majority of reports consider them in the supernatural realm, and they they consider these beings magical. They consider these beings, of a higher power. Then
so I would say this then, right, Matthew? I would put this to both you and Ryan, being cryptoid type guys and cryptid hunters or whatever. I don't want to label anybody. I'm just like, broadly speaking, paranormal and into all things strange. Yeah. So I would say, if this is the case, what is the mainstream cryptid community's take on what they are? Not individuality wise. What? Say again, Ryan.
Oh, you got different camps, man. You have, you got the people that are devoted to the flesh and blood theory. Then you got the people that are devoted to the spiritual part, and then you have the religious factors, man. So there's really no happy medium. There's no solid group. Everybody's doing their own thing. And I think this is where the problem comes in, because we can't agree. We're always disagreeing with one another. They're going, oh, no, they're Nephilim. Oh, no, they're demons. And you got that one guy over in the corner going, nah, man, they're just an animal.
If I hear that word again, Nephilim.
Hey, welcome back.
Oh, Matt, I've heard it so much in the past couple days, dude. It's kind of sickening in a way, because they're taking the whole religious thing and they're using religion as an amble to strike somebody down with.
Right.
And to me, that's not what religion is. Religion is supposed to be a way to bring people together, to teach one another, not to attack one another and hurt each other's feelings by going, oh, well, I read the Bible and you didn't, so you have no knowledge. To me, that's appalling to do. And I think what the cryptid community needs, they need people to sit down, listen to opinions, and just go, oh, okay, that's a good theory. Let's go with that, instead of attacking each other on their theories.
Yeah. They can't sit down. The cryptid community cannot sit down at a round table and discuss. They can't.
No,
it has to be.
How is that any different than anything else, though, Matthew? I've had multiple discussions with you where you've said it's easier in the paranormal community, but in the cryptid community, it's difficult. Well, you're wrong, because what you and Ryan have just been talking about is exactly the same thing what happens in the paranormal community. People believe it's this, or they don't believe it's this, or they believe. There's a divide in all of them. They're all exactly the same, because it's all the unexplained. You're dealing with the unexplained. There isn't any empirical proof or evidence to support any of it. And that's why you get the belief systems creeping in and people falling apart. They have their own idealism about what they want to do. I mean, you mentioned the Nephilim. I'm fed up of hearing that, because so many people don't even know what it is. They haven't done the research. They haven't got a clue what it is. They're just like throwing it around, like the word demon and other stuff. It's like, come on, please. Look into what you're saying before you say it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. If these things were demonic by nature, by origin, right? Would they not be attacking people more often? If they see a lone person out in the woods, they're just going to scare them and retreat? Come on, that's not demonic. That's just being an asshole.
Yeah. No.
Pretty much.
See, the thing is, the reason why I say these creatures, okay, on the evolutionary scale, dogmen of the past were a higher form of intelligence, where Sasquatch and Bigfoot have always stayed the same. There has been other bloodlines that have evolved more.
Yes, Ashley, you're right. Thank you, Ashley.
Wait, what? What happened?
Read what Ashley said.
Paranormal, UFOlogy, and cryptic all connected.
Yeah, we
are. And we need to recognize it. Like Ashley said, we definitely need to recognize it. We can't just be like, oh, well, this person saw Bigfoot with a UFO not too long or before the encounter, so we have to ignore them. No. If they saw both those things, you've got to take the entire story, take all the details, and listen to what they say. Because if you exclude the UFO or whatever, you're getting about 40% of the story, and you're purposely denying yourself 60%.
Yes.
Well, that's a
I
that's a
mean,
new phenomenon, really. That's born of the age, because you've just got to look at
yeah,
some of the more older type of people that put forward the supernatural. I mean, and especially at the forefront of media that were trying to put it out to the masses, like Arthur C. Clarke. He didn't just concentrate
right.
on UFOs or cryptids, or he done it all. It's a
Yeah.
recent development because of mainstream media, what they're pushing out, and I think that's why people think the paranormal is it gets more. The more people are interested in the paranormal because they're exposed to it more because of TV shows, TV reality, dramas,
Yeah.
which people, it's for the sake of entertainment. People, that's what it's about. And
Yeah.
that's where this divide sort of come about, because it's not the way that I went when I was young and getting into all this weird stuff. I would have like the Hamlin book of weird shit. Say that it'd be
Mhm.
all sorts of bizarre stuff that'd be in this book, from
Yeah.
ghosts to the Loch Ness monster to Bigfoot to all sorts of things, and it just like you'd see the correlation between them all. You'd see how they all worked.
Well, I think
Don't
with
forget,
people,
don't
though,
forget Nolan Braille's The Book of the Fae. I
right?
mean, that was all about the Fae and the fairies and everything that was found throughout Europe.
Mhm.
I
Well,
mean,
some people,
in the
though, the
20s.
paranormal is easier to
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. I can see where you're going with that, actually, Ryan, because I think that it's more easily accessible.
Well, the thing is, like, I've had discussions with people. There's actually somebody the other day where he's willing to believe in ghosts and spirits and everything else, but he will not believe in Bigfoot. So to him, it's easier that these spirits are out there, but there can't be some kind of wild ape in North America. And I told him,
Right.
very narrow-minded. You're closing yourself off. You're doing yourself a great injustice.
The team that I was sorry, Ryan, the team that I was involved in running just a couple of years ago, the guy, the co-founder of it with me, knew that I was into ufology. And he just wouldn't entertain any conversation about it at all. He just wouldn't wear it. He's saying there is no way that type of thing isn't possible. I just don't believe in it. No, but he's quite happy to believe that we can come back from the dead as an energy form that can't be proven, and talk to things because it suits his narrative. It's what he believes. But he wouldn't believe in Bigfoot. He wouldn't believe in anything. Hello there, KY. How are you doing? He wouldn't believe in anything apart from ghosts. That was it. Ghosts, yeah, I believe in them, but the rest of it's bullshit.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like that are in the cryptid field alone, though. You can ask Matt. There's people that will just argue till they're blue in the face just to prove that you're wrong because they don't want to believe what you're telling them.
Right. Well, it's not only just that, but it goes back to, my main complaint and my main, my thorn in my ass,
Very eloquently put, Matthew.
Yeah, sorry. Creepypastas and the SCP stuff. And, that
Siren Head.
Well, not just that, but I'm talking about like the creepypastas that have demonetized, like demonized Sasquatch and dogmen, and it like, let's take Loch Nessie for example. Loch Nessie coming up and devouring 40 people and going on a strict rampage and just swimming out into the water, and like, are you serious? Like, really? And people will believe those stories because fear sells with the cryptids.
Yes, absolutely.
Where
but it does with the paranormal. No, Matthew,
Well,
I disagree with that, because if you haven't got a scary story regarding a ghost, you haven't got a TV show, or you haven't got a legend. It is exactly the same, brother. It seriously is. I mean, you sort of seeing a divide that it isn't there. It doesn't exist. The paranormal community is, represented better in media. I do agree with that. It is, and it is more easily accessible because people have places to be able to go. You know what I mean? You can go to a local cemetery and walk around with boxes that flash and get a bit of a kick out of it.
Whoa. Nessie was fact at one point. I don't think she was entirely fiction. I think there was something there at one point in time. In fact, priests believe Nessie was in the loch. So she's definitely not just fiction.
Here's my thing about Nessie. If giant squids are alive and well and kicking and able to be found, why not a plesiosaur? Because that's the best. I'm not saying Loch Nessie is a water dragon, or what do they call it in Scotland? A water horse.
A water horse,
You
yeah,
know,
they do, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that. If anything, it is a living, breathing plesiosaur.
Or a serpentine whale.
Right.
There's a type of prehistoric whale that looks very, very snake-like.
Mm-hmm.
And she could have been one of those. I mean, if she were a whale, it would make sense as to why she's been so docile. Think about it, Matt. There's only been one attack from Nessie in Scotland. And according to the story, after the priest did some rituals in the loch itself, she just behaved totally. She never attacked anyone.
Yeah.
So she's docile. She's definitely gentile. So,
right.
I mean, how many of the descriptions that of Nessie after the surgeon's photo have there been that sort of suggests the shape and form that she takes? That means people think she's a plesiosaur. I mean, there was that aerial photograph, wasn't there? And there's been ultrasound images taken, which no doubt
the ultrasound images of the flippers.
Yeah.
Then,
but how many pre the surgeon's photo have been of it appearing as like a snake, a serpent?
Right, because the surgeon's photograph was proven he took it in his bathtub.
Yeah.
So,
but it still gave birth to people having an ideological idea about what they think it was.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you talk to people like Ken Gerhard, Scott Martis, Lyle Blackburn, they'll agree that it's a type of serpentine whale. Most definitely. In fact, Ken has a book coming out all about it.
Hold on. I got a message from somebody, and I got a message from work too. At the same time. Thanks, Nubs.
Tell work no, Matt. You can't work today.
I'm already here. That's why I'm late.
Oh man.
Yeah. I'm taking my break to hang out with y'all.
Oh man.
Oh, so special.
I'm sorry I'm late. I mean,
to carry on with what Matt was saying, though, he is right in a way, though, Dave, because creepypastas people will use as factual. They will come to researchers like Matt or Ashley and I, and they'll throw that in your face and say, this really happened, despite the fact that people are going, oh, it was written by so-and-so for this kind of show. They don't want to believe that creepypastas are just works of fiction. You know, so when you get to the real encounters, they don't want to believe the real encounters, but they'll believe these action-packed horror story creepypastas.
We have a very similar thing though, Ryan, with stuff like Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters. What portray that's the kind of thing that goes on in a paranormal investigation. So you don't see baseline testing, you don't see any kind of pseudo-scientific approach towards what most people do. I'm not saying everybody.
Right.
People just go in and chase flashing lights without understanding how an EMF even works.
And it was it is dangerous in the cryptid field because you get the younger people that want to just pick up a gun, go run out in the woods and blow away these cryptids. And we're trying to tell them, don't do that, not just for their sake, but your sake. We don't want to get hurt in the woods. You're a kid. Don't go running out there in the woods and just break your leg or whatever. Don't do that kind of thing. Learn about it. Educate yourself.
Well, also, we have states that are literally... We have states and we have businesses literally putting out bounties for people to bring true evidence of monsters, like Capcom. Capcom just gave out a $250,000 reward for anybody that can bring a cryptid or a monster body into light.
Yeah, Oklahoma just issued a license to hunt a Bigfoot.
Yeah. Morocco just offered $1 million for anybody that can find the Moroccan mermaid and capture it and bring it back alive.
Yep.
Texas just opened up a $50,000 reward for any kind of true evidence that Sasquatch is alive in Texas, like real 100% proof. There's you have not only that, but then you have the states doing this stuff. The states want it because they said, because if you can find a real Sasquatch or any kind of creature that is unknown in our state, not only does that bring tourism to us, that brings every crazy person with a gun to the state to go hunting.
Indeed.
And
It's illegal to harass Bigfoot in Washington.
Yeah, it's also against the law to kill a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, they want to protect. Okay, in Texas, they kind of are making fun of themselves. They want to protect Bigfoot, but they also want to hunt Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they literally in Austin they put a protection against hunting Bigfoot, but they want you to go and research Bigfoot and go out and find blood samples and all this stuff. How are you going to find blood samples of Sasquatch without shooting it?
You're gonna have to be very, very lucky to find that kind of stuff.
Hey,
Right.
I think really it's just got to be the right time, right place sort of deal. Like Dave and I were saying earlier, it's just you don't have to hurt one to get proof. If you could find good, clean fur samples or scat, or even blood, like you said, Matt, that would be enough.
Right.
We don't need the body to verify that they're real.
But the thing is also with researchers and researcher companies and everything, anything that's out in nature, hair samples, scat samples, blood samples, anything that's out in nature, and if you don't get it right then and there, as soon as it drops,
it's tainted.
It only takes about 2 hours before the evidence gets destroyed, gets contaminated.
Yeah.
And we have so much against us in everything, because as soon as any kind of air particle, any kind of other animal gets around it, it's already destroyed.
Yeah, it's tainted. 100%.
Yeah. And
what comes up as a question to me, right?
Walk around.
Well, you say that, but there's no proof of that.
Yeah, that's true.
We have hearsay, and we have to believe with people. We trust in people that are more spiritually gifted than the rest of us, shall I say? I'm not saying that I doubt these people, but we still don't have any empirical proof, just like you guys don't. I mean, we've spoke about this a lot, and this is the bit I sort of see that you don't seem to get. You think that we're lucky and we've got all things better than you, and we really haven't. There might be more of us, and what we do might be on the TV more, but I think we're in just the same place. I don't see any difference between the community of cryptid hunters, the community of paranormal investigators, and the community of ufologists. As Ash said before, it's sort of a divide we've made ourselves, and it's unnecessary to have it even in the first place. But I do want to pick up on something that he said about Washington State saying it's illegal to shoot one or kill one. Now, if that's passed into law by the local, the state government or whatever, is that because they sort of almost accept that they might exist? Is that because it's driven by the scientific community's got more sway there? Why is that even a law or a state taught?
I think that's because
it's because
Jane Goodall had a part in that law. And how she is. She studies primates. So when she's saying that Bigfoot is real, people in Washington are going to take notice.
Yeah.
But I mean, for it to be passed as legislature, though. I mean, I take it has been passed as legislature. It's not just like a hearsay.
It's been in place for a number of years, for a good number of years now.
It's on paper. This is a law.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the government's way of telling us very softly that, yeah, there are things out there that you don't know about, but here you go, we're admitting they're real. You know, if you look on the Washington list of wildlife, they have Bigfoot listed there.
Yep.
This is exactly the point I'm trying to make. Yeah. So they're
Funny.
sort of like semi-admitting
Mm-hmm.
that there is something there, aren't they? Just by their very actions.
Right. Soft disclosure, as I call it.
Yeah.
And they, a lot of states have to have a certain number of sightings per year to keep the law active.
Mhm.
Like Texas. Texas has to have at least 10 sightings a year in each major city to keep the state law active. So you could have anybody, you could have the local drunk calling and saying, I'm seeing Sasquatch. If they call 10 times a year, that's enough to keep it active.
Well, sightings happen a lot more than people want to admit, though. I mean, if you pay really close attention to police code, they have certain codes just for Bigfoot and Dogman. They'll call Bigfoot black cow, Dogman's black dog.
Yep.
You know, so when they're talking about that stuff over the scanner and you hear those certain code words, you know what they're talking about. And it happens pretty
And in
often.
Texas, I was going to say, in Texas, they call the chupacabra red rooster.
Yeah. Yep, they do.
So you say on an average, like listening to a scanner, how likely are you to hear red rooster, black cow, or black dog annually? Say, for instance.
You know, when I worked at the police station, I used to hear black dog pretty often.
Really?
Yeah, and I knew a lot of the people I worked with. We were very personable. We were close to each other. So whenever we heard that code, black dog, we just kind of gave that exchanging glance of, you know what's up.
Hmm.
You know, and we couldn't document it. You're not allowed to document it when they say black dog, black cow, or anything like that. You got to pretend that, you didn't hear what they said.
Yep.
So no transcripts.
Right.
Interesting.
Like
I'm back.
in Austin, if they encounter a chupacabra, they say James's red rooster is clucking, or James's red rooster is flocking, or something like that.
Yeah, they have interesting codes for everything.
Look at
It's
that, Kennedy.
fascinating to learn.
Yeah.
Hmm. So out of the three, would you say that red rooster is the code that's used the least?
I would think so.
Yeah,
So
because
less
it's really
sightings of the
only here in
chupacabra.
Texas and-
Oh, yeah, that one's
Do
far
it.
more elusive than Dogman or Sasquatch, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, unless you... Well, it depends on which version. The dog-like version, because there's two versions here in Texas. There's the manged coyote look, then there's the humanoid reptilian, and
honestly though, Matt, I think the coyote version, that mange coyote that we're seeing, I think they called it chupacabra because in a way that's also a form of soft disclosure. Because they're saying there is a chupacabra out there, and it's not really what it is. It's more like a blue dog is what it is. But by naming it chupacabra, they're kind of telling you chupacabra is out there.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think there's already, four Texas state trooper videos that literally are recorded, showing it being recorded and followed. Like they're trying to say something.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That kind of goes into that whole thing.
They're trying to say something, but
cover up.
Yeah.
That's something else we have to contend with too, Dave, is the whole government cover up that people like to claim there is.
Yeah.
I honestly don't believe there is a government cover up. The government's not going to waste time on things like that. And we as humans are so insignificant. They're not going to spend all this money to cover up cryptids.
I think sometimes people sort of, naively attribute the government with having more intelligence than they've actually got, or that they care more than we think they do.
Mm-hmm. Well, to them, it adds more horror to the stories because, they like to add, if you saw a cryptid, you're going to get visited by the MIB. And if that happens...
Oh, and the black SUVs.
Yeah, your life's going to be ruined, or you're going to be chased out of your investigation area by the military, which, by the way, has never happened to me in all my times doing this. So,
same here.
Yeah, I mean, Matt and I have never been chased out by men in black or military or cops or anything like that. So to me, it's
No.
absurd when they go into that.
Well, the thing that gets me is they always say there's been how many reports in the past 2 years, Ryan, that the occasional hunter that's up north in the Rocky Mountains hunting elk or hunting whatever, bear or whatever, and they end up shooting at a Sasquatch 2 or 3 times, and by the time they make it back to their truck, there's like 5 black SUVs and men in black coming out.
Yeah,
like,
it gets
talking
ridiculous.
to them.
I have as
Well,
well,
it's because of
Ash,
that
actually.
creepypasta stuff.
Hang on a quick second, Bill. I want to cover this by Paul D. Paul, the government did not invent these things. Sasquatch, Dogman, they were seen long before our government was in place.
Yeah.
Go back to the Algonquin people, the Cree, Native American people. They speak about these things centuries before we even came here. Did the government make them? No, absolutely not.
It's the
You
same
can go
with
to
same with UFOs and spirits and stuff like that throughout years. It's been going on since ancient times, before established governments. When countries in Europe were just tribes rather than established civilized populaces. So no.
Yeah, I do not believe the government created any of them. Maybe they created a variant of them somewhere along the way, but did they create cryptids? No, absolutely not. Because you got the Algonquins talking about Genosqua. You got all these other people, Oma, all these other names that came before white men, before Europeans even came to America. It's just not possible. We're not smart enough to create life like that. Not yet.
I mean, even the Incas talk about the hairy men, and they called them Jucas or Jacas or something, but they were big hairy men that carried club-like weapons. And it took 3 or 4 Inca warriors to take down one, if they could.
Yep.
You see, the thing is, though, with that, Paul, is that things have been being reported and daubed on cave walls well before the establishment of civilizations, well before governments. Governments are fairly new. Democracy was invented by the Greeks. We've got a finite time period for when governments have been in existence.
And as far as creating anything, I mean, we're making a big deal of cloning a sheep or cloning a ferret. What makes you think that we can create a brand new life form that's so intelligent and so powerful when we're just creating a ferret now?
Yeah.
I mean, we even failed at cloning an ear on a rat. I mean, come on.
David failed at putting the figures on my head.
Yeah, see?
You can't ignore the stories told by the native people, man. When they go so far back before we even came to America, you can't ignore those and just say, oh, those don't exist or government created these things. You cannot do that. It's not right to do.
The thing with me is, if in history, if we weren't so determined to destroy every other civilization out there, destroy all their writings, destroy every person, say the Romans killing the Druids, literally putting the Druids into extinction. And you know how much knowledge of ancient creatures and everything that we could have amassed throughout history if any of their works or anything, I mean, their writings or anything survived. I mean, we would have so much of a better knowledge on this stuff from our ancestors to today that we could actually do real research on and not pick and choose from excerpts or whatever from different religions,
See, I think the key
it's
word
hard
there is
piecing.
the research in it. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, it seems people have got opinions without doing research. And given the meme that I'm seeing in the
Right.
chat there, makes me think that there's a certain gentleman who also hasn't done any research.
I would agree with
Yeah.
that.
You know,
Definitely.
if you want to come on being anti-government, it's good. You be anti-government as much as you want, but if you don't know what you're talking about, then don't comment. Oh, come up on the panel and join us and
Yeah,
put forth your expertise, because I'm sure we're all willing to listen.
Well, like I'm going to say to you,
I'm willing to
like I said
sit
to
back and
everybody else,
listen. And
where's your proof?
I
If
got a
you're gonna
bag of
say this is
popcorn I can
fact, where's
make.
your proof? I mean, you know, if you make a claim like that, it's up to you. The burden's on you to give the proof, to give the evidence, and say, "Here is what I have. Here's what testifies what I'm saying." And if you can't do that,
Sorry,
then
man, go on.
it's on you.
You know, the thing is nobody's up here has said we know that the reason for this is X, Y, and Z. Not categorically saying the reason that these exist is because they were made by A or B. That's the difference.
Right.
There's no
If
burden of proof
anything,
lying
we
on
can say
anybody
the
on the panel.
Atlanteans made them all. I mean, you know, if anything, we can say the Atlanteans made all these creatures, but
We
that's not
could.
a government.
Even
Yeah.
still, though, even if we go to
That's not
that
a government.
extent, say they did it, we don't have any proof, though.
Right. We still don't. I mean,
You know, maybe it's just me, but
it-
it's not so hard to believe that there's animals that we don't know about within our own wilderness that we haven't yet discovered. It's not hard to believe.
I mean, how often do they get deeper sea vehicles that go to the depths of like the Marianas Trench and other places and find species of underwater species that we've never categorized before? It's always
Well, they
happening.
just discovered a new species of beak whale in the Gulf of Mexico, of all places.
yes.
And that's very recent. That was done, what, last month, was it, Matt?
Oh,
Yeah. Last month or the month before. Yeah.
Yeah, not that far back at all. And if you look at the billy apes, you know, you got these
Yep.
6-foot tall chimpanzee-like monkeys that we just discovered back in 2003. So that's brand new as far as science goes.
Yeah. And
I
in
mean,
the
and I
Amazon,
forget
we
what's-
just. Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
No, it's so go on.
I was gonna say, and 2 years ago, we just discovered the pink Amazonian porpoise whale, which they
Yes.
call the devil. They call it the mermaid porpoise because it has a tail that looks like a mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and everybody for the longest time thought it was a sea now.
Yep. And we're just collecting new information on the dire wolf too. In fact, you know, everything we thought we knew about the dire wolves, we now had to change because we found evidence that they didn't hunt the way that we thought they did. They didn't look the way that we thought we did. So everything's being rearranged now.
Right. I mean, there's a part of Canada that's the size of Texas
Mm-hmm.
that still hasn't ever been mapped out.
Very
You know,
true.
nobody has mapped it out. So who knows what's in just the Canadian wilderness alone? I mean, there's still parts of the mountain ranges that we have not checked out. I mean, we just found what is his name? Etty or the caveman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't even know that humans even could climb that high into a mountain range with just, you know, animal fur.
Well, look at the new species of bird too. I mean, it's not a new species, but it's a species that hasn't been seen in 80 years, and we're just now photographing this thing. You know, we're taking pictures of it now. You know, so science is kind of far behind. We're kind of the guy dragging our feet with the science.
And the whole thing about Nessie being a plesiosaur, in my opinion, is because off the shore of Japan, we found a prehistoric fish that was supposed to be extinct.
Coelacanth.
You know? Yeah, the coelacanth.
Coelacanth.
So who says a plesiosaur isn't swimming out in the ocean somewhere?
Right, and like Alan just said, we know more about space than we do about our own planet.
Yeah.
And that's fact. That very well put, Alan. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. You beat me to that, Nubs.
Yeah, I was letting him give his peace, but he was just, I don't know, being weird.
Yeah,
Well,
you
you know
beat me
what?
to that. I was
what
just
they
about.
say.
I don't know. We're just going on. I was just about to have him myself, though. To be fair.
Well, the thing is, when people can't support what they say with any evidence, or they're not going to come up here and talk and try to prove us wrong, there's no point in saying anything like that.
Exactly.
I mean, we're not saying that we're 100% accurate, but all the research that we have combined together is knowledge enough that we can discuss and we can open up doorways for y'all to understand and have an open mind about. We have three different we're three different hunters, and we are. Dave's into all the fields. Me and Ryan have a more specific field, but we have enough to actually brainstorm together to come
Nubs?
up with answers.
And what about poor
Nubs is
What's
Nubs.
this? What's this? Three different. This four of us. There are four of us here. There's our genial host. You can't forget Nubs.
Well, Nubs is the thing that we're all studying. We don't know if he belongs to the paranormal, cryptid.
Yeah,
we don't know where he belongs yet. We're just going,
that's
well,
a fair point.
Nubs.
Fair enough.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm a normal iptic.
He's a Nebusaurus Rex.
Nice.
Nubinor iptic. I don't know.
I was gonna call him a nub maid.
No, I mean, you fundamentally what you're saying is right. If you sort of look at like the different aspects of what's considered paranormal, stroke, supernatural, or at least mysterious as an umbrella term for what we're looking into, it's still able to have a discourse.
Colin's here.
Put forward cogent discussion about what possibly might be the ins and outs of what's going on.
Well, it's like Seven Souls was saying, though. People like to dismiss these things, and it's not really beneficial to anybody when you dismiss it. If you're going to believe in ghosts or UFOs or whatever, you should have that open mind where you believe in cryptids as well.
I believe absolutely 100%. Yeah.
If you're going to believe in them, though, please at least educate yourself. Learn about where they came from, possibly, and don't just be like, "Oh, demonic, Nephilim." Because if I hear Nephilim one more time, man, oh boy.
Yeah.
Do you know? I sort of look at it. Yeah. I sort of look at it like this. I've been a musician for most of my life. To be fair, and I prefer rock or slightly heavier stuff. However, I listen to all kinds of music. I pay attention to all kinds of music because it enables me to do more and understand more because of that. And it's the same with the paranormal. It's the same with any of these fields. Even if you don't necessarily agree with what somebody's saying, listen to what they're saying.
Yes.
Listen to what they've got to say. Take on board their opinion. Take on board what they've got to say, because you might just learn something by doing so.
Oh, absolutely. You absolutely will. Yeah. I mean, that's been my experience. That's why my opinions have changed over the years. Because, I started to adapt and start to listen to more people's stories and going, oh my God, is that possible? Then when you start wondering that, you start opening yourself up more and more, and you're starting to realize, oh my God, these things are really happening at the same time. And you can't just ignore it. It's like I tell a lot of people, don't ever ignore what you think is a minute detail. If he says he saw an orb before he saw the Bigfoot or after he saw the Dogman or whatever, take note of that. Follow that where it takes you.
Microcosms within macrocosms.
Right. Because if you deny anything that they say, you're really missing out on a huge percentage of that story.
And also listen to your surroundings. If you have an encounter or anything, take note of everything around you. Take note. Did you hear popping? Did you hear anything? Was it a growl or was it a undertoned murmur? Were they trying to speak?
Say it again, Ryan.
That's yes to all the above in my case. When he was saying, did you hear the popping? Did you hear the growling? Yes, and yes.
I mean, I haven't heard your experience, and I might be one of the few people that have. I'm just assuming that. I don't know. You might have been quite vocal about it, but given that you've just said that, then there's a lot to discount if you've had all them sort of criteria within just your experience alone.
And I was pretty close to this thing. I was about 15 feet away total. So I got a good look at this sucker. So you can't tell me that, cryptids don't exist. It's like, dude, it was 15 feet away from me. It absolutely existed.
Right.
Did it smell like wet dog?
It smelled worse than that. A lot worse than that, bro. Think feces, rotted meat, and wet dog.
That sounds like a Saturday night.
Yummy.
The reason why I said wet dog is because in my mind, I pictured you falling off your chair laughing. And someone fell out of the chair.
Hey, I'm doing good, Colin. How you doing, brother? Colin's here, Matt.
Hey, Colin, what are you doing, asshole?
The only family we call each other asshole affectionately.
Yes.
I call my brother asshole.
Oh, I call my brother that too,
because he's a smart ass.
It's okay. You can all come round and call my brother asshole if you want. I don't mind. It really is.
There you go.
In fact, I'll pay you.
You'll pay us to call him an asshole? Shoot, what's his number? I'll call him right now.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
I'll send him an old school telegram.
Epitome of a right jerk off, I tell you.
A songgram. There you go. Singing telegram where we're calling him asshole in rhyming ways.
Nice.
No, we all show up at his doorstep and just sing, "You're an asshole."
Don't dare me to do that. I might. I mean, come on, Matt and I.
Hey, I'll show up dressed as Sasquatch and do a stripogram.
You would, Matt. You would so do that.
See, yes, I would.
Okay,
in a heartbeat.
A quick 5-minute break to have a cigarette, but I will be back.
Go ahead, brother.
All right.
Yeah, got to crack on, right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just naive, Dave. Maybe I'm just very naive.
Why do you say that? In what respect do you mean you think you're naive?
Because I expected in this day of age more and more people that have access to the internet, have access to, their own ability to think on their own can accept all of our fields as one. But it seems like in this day of age we're worse than the public was than the public was 300 years ago.
Do you know why?
No, I don't.
Because at one time there was a certain amount of research you had to do on your feet in the field and earn it. Now people can become opinionated by doing a quick internet search, and everybody's an expert.
Oh, the Wikipedia.
That's exactly the type of crew I'm referring to. Everybody's an expert, or they watch a few TV shows. That's it.
Yeah, they don't go out and do none of it.
You'd be surprised at how many people have got opinions about what they think this is, what they think that is, and what hauntings are and all that lot. And they haven't done an investigation in their life. They live vicariously through other people's investigations, but they don't actually do it themselves. They haven't done hundreds.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I'm not telling the first city folk, the first, person that's lived their whole entire life in the city to go out in the middle of the Rocky Mountains and go, hunt Sasquatch or Dogman or whatever. Because you know what? More and more sightings now are done in major cities on back roads, stuff like that, of Dogmen, Sasquatch, things. Because you know why? Because we as humans have. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say we have Bigfoot in the chat, Mike the naked Bigfoot.
We
found Bigfoot. His name was Mike.
But most
All right,
reports
Kennedy.
nowadays are because humanity is moving out so far into the into nature, away from big cities, stuff like that, that we are encroaching on these creatures' natural habitat, and they're realizing that it's easier to walk to a garbage can, open it up, and grab our excess food that we threw away than it is to go and hunt a deer and break its neck. So, the whole saying of when you go to a national park, do not feed the bears because you pretty much domesticate it. That's the same thing we're doing with cryptids and other things. It pretty soon, and that's why so many people are saying, "Oh my God, there's a Sasquatch at my door trying to break down my door to steal my can of beanie weenies." Well, if you weren't 40 miles into the middle of nowhere, he wouldn't know you were there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, I am back.
Hello.
what's up, Ron?
Hello.
We found
Welcome back,
Bigfoot. His
brother.
name is Mike.
Oh yeah. Mike's the Bigfoot that I paid off to, be the Bigfoot that I found. We're gonna go public with it
The
someday.
nerd Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Mike, Bigfoot, we got him.
We found
What's up?
Bigfoot.
What's up, Mike?
How's it going, guys?
We
But
just
my question would be, even if there was sort of empirical evidence, whether you want to call it a corpse, hair, I don't know, blood, so you've got DNA samples or whatever, and it is the scientific community take it on board, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be full disclosure to the public at large that it's truth or there's any.
Have to be so many years of research put into it first before they actually came public and said, "Hey, everybody, these are real." No, it'd take at least 20 or 30 years after we got the evidence that we needed.
And do you think would you think it'd be likely to happen though, that it'd happen at all?
One day
Tell them all to hush.
it might happen one day, because so many people know of Sasquatch now. It's a common name. Back in the 60s or 70s, it wasn't really all too common. It was more a horror story thing. Nowadays, though, everybody and anybody knows Bigfoot. So if they were to find the evidence that could actually show, yes, they are real, I think they would come out with it slowly. Kind of like they did with UFOs. You guys are aware of that, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. I think they would do that in a way where they'd start slowly trickling down the information saying, hey, they're real. Would people pay attention, though? That's the bigger question. I think what's going to happen with Bigfoot is once it's confirmed to be real, people will kind of lose interest because it's not that mythological beast anymore.
Howdy, Mike, by the way.
Hey,
Hey,
how's it
what's
going?
up, Mike?
What's happening? Hey, I respectfully disagree with that. We can't wait for the scientific community to confirm or deny or trickle out information about things like Bigfoot and all of its kin.
Thing is, though, we're at the mercy of it, though, because if you or I or Matt were to find that concrete evidence, who's going to be the one to verify it? It's not going to be me or you or Matt. It's going to be a team of scientists that go through each step and each process and each method to go, okay, this is what this is. This is how they started. Now we can start giving this information to the public. And they're going to have to do it in a soft way, in a very slow way, because if we present it all at once, it could create a panic.
Just like the
you
UFO.
gotta think. Well, you got to think, okay, think of anything. Think of ghosts. Think of UFOs. Think of Sasquatch, whatever you want to believe in. If the government or the scientific community came out and said, yes, X, Y, and Z exists, we would have to rewrite history. We would have to rewrite religion. It would cause mass.
Here's the question, though, Matt. Would we really have to rewrite religion? You can safely say that if Bigfoot is found to be flesh and blood, that God made them, correct?
No.
All right.
I think that depends
Well,
upon the
I mean,
religion.
you're gonna have
I think
the-
Christianity. I think Christianity might be more readily available to do that, or readily disposed towards doing that. But other
Maybe.
religions would absolutely not do that. The theological implications of disclosure of certain things would have massive repercussions in certain civilizations and cultures.
Would it though? Because I mean, do we rewrite religion every time we discover a new animal? No, we don't. Now,
No,
if
but
Bigfoot's decreed, I'm
No,
saying
we just add it to the ark.
right now, if
Yeah.
it is decreed as an animal, and that's a big if. I'm not saying that it is an animal; it's an if. If it is decreed an
Mhm.
animal, it's not going to impact anybody in any big way. In fact, a lot of people will be let down if we find out that Bigfoot is just an animal.
You see, there's faiths that
Yeah.
predate Christianity. So I that believe and have knowledge of these creatures, of these things.
Mhm.
Modern religion, I don't think it matters whether or not it gets rewritten or not. They rewrote
Yeah.
all of the histories of the old religions that detailed these things.
They did,
Um,
yes.
Well, I call them the stepping stone religions, the true hardcore religions.
Now, Mike, I
Like-
guess you're referring to like the monks that were in Tibet that worshipped the Yeti, and it was part of their
Yeah.
culture and religion.
That's one of the faiths that are out there. That's one of the groups that's out there. They've just been beaten into submission. That information's been buried,
Mhm.
Right.
both by the modern religious, and the scientific community, because it's something they can't control. There's information there they can't control. There's an entity there that they can't control. It's all about control with them. It wasn't about control with the old ways and the old faiths. It wasn't about control. It's about living with and dealing with these things
Mhm.
daily, sometimes hourly.
That's why I follow the native lore so much, because it's far more dependable. If you want to
It
learn
is.
about these things, you have to speak to the native people, because they will shoot you straight and they will tell you this is what they were like. This is how they were with my ancestors. This is how they could be with you. So you have to really get down to the root of their stories, their oral traditions, and really listen to them in depth. That's what I do. That's what my focus is.
And see, it's a lot of the old faiths and the old ways. These are not peace-loving, flower children of the woods.
Yes,
These
thank you.
these damn things are dangerous.
Yes, so many
Um,
people will tell you, "Oh, you can go out into the woods with the Bigfoot and the dog man, and they'll protect you." I even had a woman
No.
tell me that she sat down and she had a picnic with her dog man.
They will rip your arms out
Yeah.
and beat you to death with them.
Yes, I mean, on my show, we covered one of the more ancient traditions, oral traditions of the Genosqua. And these things
Oh,
were known to
God,
come right
yeah.
into villages and just, grab up people and take them back to their caves and eat them. And they got
They
so
were
cocky. They were
They were
whistling.
children of the woods. They ate people. They saw us as cattle.
Yeah, they
The
were
Genosqua.
so brash, they were so bold that before they raided the
Oh,
village,
so-
they would actually purposely whistle to let the people know, hey, we're coming for
Mhm.
you. We're going to eat you, but hey, head start. Go ahead, try to run from us. We're still going to catch you.
But you
Yeah.
also got to look at other tribes that consider Sasquatches as teachers, enlighteners. They
Yeah,
like
but
the
Matt,
Cherokee. The
Matt, the thing
Cherokee
is,
said
though,
that
the thing is, when you actually compare the percentage rate of the bad tales compared to what they considered good, the good are fewer than the bad.
That is true.
Right. I mean, I know. I mean, I know overall, but I'm just saying that there is. It's just like it's just like online. It's just like the internet tells. You're going to get a 50-50 or 75-25 percentage of good to bad.
Mhm.
It just depends on it. It depends on what tribe, what experiences they had as a whole compared to the majority.
And what tribe of Bigfoot did they encounter? They could have
That's
encountered
right.
a group of Sasquatch
Right.
that were
Yeah,
kind.
and they
see
didn't.
people as Happy Meals.
Yeah, I'm always telling
Yeah,
people.
and they didn't stereotype
research
them
it,
like
pay
we
attention to
do.
the names.
Yeah.
You got to
Right,
pay
well,
attention to the
Yeah,
names.
I mean,
I've got a question then. I've got a question, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think in any kind of capacity that the government or any government around the world, for that matter, believes that any kind of cryptid exists, and
absolutely.
as a result of that,
Yes.
as a result of that,
Yes.
as a result of that, they are keeping it from the public? And what is the reason for doing so then?
I think it depends on where you look. Like if you go to China, they're orang pendek.
Yeah.
The government believes in them. They don't say anything because they want to protect them. They don't want anybody to kill them off. Now, if you jump over a little bit to Siberia and Tibet, where the Yeti's at, same thing. They don't want anybody hurting this thing. They don't want anybody to kill it. They don't want anybody to hunt it. They want it left alone. And it's because in their region, these things aren't violent. These things are sacred animals to them.
I think there's a lot of fear too in the governments. They're afraid of these things because they can't explain them. They're too wild. They're too part of nature. They're too part of the spiritual world. They're dangerous and they can't control them.
But also you got to look at like third world countries too. If they come out like, okay, Morocco, okay, they're giving out $1 million in US money to find that mermaid. If they're a third world country or a second world country, you know, if they had the ability to come out and say, yes, we have these cryptids, we have a cryptid on display, you know how much money that they're going to make, how much, you know, revenue is going to come in every day, because they have, say, Morocco has a living, breathing mermaid in a fish tank.
Yeah, Greg.
And people can see it every day. You know,
All right. Well,
and
that being the case, you've gone off a bit of a tangent from the question that I put forward. And I would also say, if that's the case and the government are keeping it quiet, then the point I made about disclosure still stands, doesn't it?
yes.
Yes, it does.
Mhm.
So we're less likely to get disclosure because of the government's attitude, because they've got an idea that things exist, which means what Mike was saying earlier about not being able to rely upon established science and governmental bodies to bring these things to the fore sort of carries some weight. It is up to people like us.
It does in a way. It really does. But I mean, you really have to get down to the nitty gritty, though. You know, because if we're ever going to verify them, we don't have the stuff that we need to use for the DNA testing and for the confirmations. That sadly is going to go back to the government and the scientific parties in the world. So eventually it is going to be them that slowly trickles this down. If we were to do it, you know, we'd be called crazy because we're just, who are we? You know, we're everyday Joes.
So you think it's down to funding then? Is that what you're saying? Hang on a minute, Matthew. Do you think it's funding that's an issue then?
In a way. I think that, you know, it's going to be a very slow process. It's going to be kind of like removing a Band-Aid, to put a metaphorical spin on it. It's not going to be done. They're not going to really do it quickly. They're going to just, you know, peel it layer by layer by layer because they're not sure how people will respond. I mean, you got to admit, people are a panicky lot. We really are. We freak out at the smallest thing. You know, so if they were to just all of a sudden come on the news and be like, flash, you know, news flash, Bigfoot is real, people will be like, oh my God. Now, if they do it in a slow way, if they give it to us in a more comforting way, you know, if they just start saying, well, so-and-so found this, DNA tests say this, and it confirms that it's real, people will start going, oh, so Bigfoot is real. So it's going to be a slow process. It really is.
I've got one more question because I don't want to argue too much. Is being that that's the case then, and that if there is some kind of insidious sort of nefarious idealism for any government to want to protect these species, I find that difficult to believe when none of the world governments are even remotely interested in protecting the flora and fauna that we're aware of, less bothered about even protecting the citizens of their own countries. It doesn't seem to make any sense to me that they want to protect these species. I would sort of expect them to want to hunt them down to extinction like mankind has done with near enough everything else is encountered.
Well, I mean, they protect other animals that are endangered too, you know, so it's kind of the same thing where they're saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't hunt this animal, you know, and they do that just to stop people from doing it. They don't really put any enforcement on it, but they could do the same thing with Bigfoot, you know, although in some countries, though, like Africa, you know, you go to hunt a rhino or an elephant, you're in a lot of trouble, you know, because they got soldiers, you know, permitting the guards and, you know, they're just walking around with guns. guarding these animals. Would our government do the same thing? Maybe.
What up, asshole?
Here's the thing. What's up, Colin? Here's the thing, okay? With what you just said, yeah, they would. You know how much money that they would throw into it? It'd be like a real life version of King Kong. You know, it's the same. It's going to be the exact same amazement, wonder, everything. And yeah, they would put it on display.
They would.
I mean,
Are not most of the protected species in this world protected by publicly funded enterprises and bodies that are set up rather than government enterprises?
Well, here's the bigger question.
Yeah, but look how many endangered species we have sitting in the San Diego Zoo.
Right. Here's
on
the bigger
display.
question, though. Would we want these things to be discovered and verified? I mean, here they are, free-range animals. They have their own freedom, living their lives. We verify them. You know they're going into zoos. Do we want that?
No, leave them alone.
No, we don't. We don't want it, but in to be human, to have humanity, we think if they are alive, the best course of action is to put them in a cage and not let them run around, not let them go into quote unquote extinction. We don't even know how many there is.
Yeah, that's the one I'm
saying. They would allow us to put them in cages. Why would they allow us to put them in cages? I think they have above human intelligence. So
because it would be a market for anybody else. It's like the ivory trade. I mean, oh hey, get your Sasquatch pelt on the black market today.
And that would happen.
Yeah. And just imagine all the Chinese herbalists and everything that would want those bones to grind up to make medicine out of, because they would believe it's a supernatural being. Like look at them grinding up how many countless dinosaur bones every day in China,
or rhino
to
horns.
make medicine out of it.
I mean, look at what they were doing with rhinoceros horns. You know, it was aphrodisiac. You know, elephant tusks.
Yeah, why not? Why not have a? Yeah, why not have a Sasquatch medicine? You know, it's.
I don't believe a Sasquatch would allow
today.
Us to be caught or killed that easily.
Why do you say that?
But if we put the money out to, if the government put the money out to track these creatures, to find these creatures, to truly find them, we would literally find them. You know, it's just the government the government or a higher corporation or whatever just needs that strike on the match to light the fire, to get the okay to go and track them.
Okay, well then I would sorry Ryan, I would say to you then, Project Blue Book, Project Grudge, Project Sign, all funded by the government and still no definitive proof.
Exactly.
So not necessarily.
No.
Well, maybe not recorded, but what about the giant encounter in Iraq a couple years ago?
Yeah, but that's still down to legend and the reports of a couple of troops that were there. It isn't empirical evidence, is it?
That's true,
right? But there's no evidence to those other cases either.
But that's exactly the point. The point I'm trying to say is why are you so convinced that they would be hunted to extinction or so easy to find when they're so elusive now?
Exactly.
Because people would have. It's kind of like World War II. It's kind of like World War II. America didn't want anything to do with the war until we were finally attacked. Then look at everybody joined together for a certain cause. And that would be kind of the same thing. You know, if breaking news came out that Sasquatch is real. Sasquatch is in your backyard right now. You know how many big game hunters would be out there every day trying to score the next trophy?
Yeah.
I know how many big game hunters would have their ass handed to them by a Bigfoot if they went hunting for it.
Yeah.
That's true too. But right.
But the only thing I'm
Well,
going to add to
it's
this,
like-
though, hang on a sec, though, Matt.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm going to add to this,
Go ahead,
though,
bro.
go ahead and look at how people are nowadays. If you're in any cryptid forum on Facebook or whatever, you can see how bloodthirsty people are.
Yeah.
Okay, now when it comes to a dogman, God, people want all the dogmen eradicated. Doesn't matter if you had a positive experience or what, they want them eradicated, and they think that Bigfoot, dogman, chupacabra, everything's demonic. And with that in mind, they want to kill them.
Yeah.
Would I want species to be verified, dogman or Bigfoot? No, I really wouldn't. I mean, not only would that take away my studies, my field of interest, that would put these poor animals, these poor beings, on the hunt list. And I don't think it's right because they want to kill every single one of them.
That's true. It would be a UN position. Yeah.
Oh,
that would be heartbreaking for me. That would be totally heartbreaking to see Bigfoot and dogman eliminated all because people think they're demonic or they're Nephilim. So rather than get to understand them, they kill them all off. That's just no.
Yeah.
So that says to me that says to me that the best person to hunt them is people like us then, because we're less likely to want to be a destructive element within their discovery.
Yeah, I would say that because I mean, like you, Colin. I mean, we want to see them. We want to study them up close. We don't want any bodies.
I mean, there is only a
Sorry.
Basically, they would fall to be victims of the human condition. That's really the sad part.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. No.
Here's another thing. I mean, we as a civilization, we do not care about nature.
No, we do not.
You can see it every day. So what's the difference between us not hunting Sasquatch to extinction, but wiping out their natural habitat already as a kid?
There you go.
I mean, either way, we are killing these creatures. It doesn't matter if we go out bloodthirsty and hunt them, or if we continuously cut down and deforest land and making it for farms, making it for anything else. We are taking away their natural land that they have lived in for thousands upon thousands of years.
Yep.
And if we cared that much to protect them, we wouldn't be doing this to them as it is.
You're right. Yeah, 100%.
That's human arrogance, though, Matt. Mankind needs to think they rule.
They don't care. Because for every one person that cares, there's 10 that doesn't give a shit.
Yep.
Which pretty much amplifies my point that the government are less likely to give a shit.
Yeah,
I think it depends. I think if there was a profit to be made from protection, then they would do it. And honestly, let's look at facts, though.
Yeah.
Bigfoot is thought of as that cuddly giant, right? So if it was verified to be real, there would be so many people with the outcry of protect the Sasquatch, and the government couldn't ignore it.
Oh yeah,
I just see the government. Oh, go ahead, Colin.
I was just gonna say, yes, wants to protect it, and the government won't know that. But just imagine how many people will be out there trying to kill it. I don't know. I don't know how many successes there are in the world. So I just it's and sorry that is even something that I have. But yeah, you know, there is some people want to protect it. There is no want to sell it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
See,
I sort of,
uh,
I mean, the filming it hasn't been massively instrumental in making anybody want to like pursue it in an organized body kind of sense, though. Unfortunately, because
We
that's
have
why
many people
everybody
that
here
are
is doing what we're doing. I mean, yeah. This another question. I'm sorry, but I'm not primarily. I'm not a cryptoid hunter or cryptid hunter. Is there any kind of even sort of guesstimate at population figures and density to Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or Yeti if you're out just
no,
the USA, for instance?
no,
absolutely
no,
not. I mean,
no,
people will tell
no.
you that wherever you go, if there's woods, that's where they are. I don't buy into that. I don't
Yeah.
believe
No, I don't either.
I don't even know how many members are in a family.
You know, I mean, on Facebook, I'm sure, Mike, you've heard about this on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. People will tell you if you have woods, you have Bigfoot. I just don't believe that's true.
Yeah, no.
See, I don't believe that
If
either.
I was,
I hear that crap all
Yeah.
the time.
if I was, I feel like we would have at least seen a similar. If there was a picture in what I was actually thought someone else's. But
The
yeah, I
thing
don't
that
believe
chaps
that.
my ass about, but the thing that chaps my ass about all that, just like the quote saying, "If you have woods, you have a Sasquatch."
Give me a
No,
quick listen
it,
before you go down, cheeky
it,
chops.
it's just it's the same thing as these cryptid hunters go into a sighting spot that was 30 years ago, still thinking that these creatures that are constantly on the search for food, water, survival are going to still stay in that one area 30 years later and not move on to a different territory.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
See,
bullshit. You
because
know,
I believe they have migratory habits. They're a migratory thing. They
Agreed.
have
100%.
territories laid out. So
Yep, I agree with that
and they
100%.
Yeah.
yeah, they won't destroy an area like humans and wipe out every living being, a living thing out there, wild
Yeah.
animal, creature, whatever. No, they want it to regrow so they can come back and reharvest. It's they're not going to stay there like dumb humans and destroy that one plot of land.
Yeah, no, they're going to move on. I mean, I get that a lot when people ask me, did you go back to this spot where you had your dogman encounter? I just tell them, why would I? It's not there anymore.
it's not going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to show up just because I'm there. You know, there's
Yeah.
nothing to be found. That was almost 2 years ago. What's to be found there? Nothing.
So
I mean, it might come back.
Sorry,
but
sorry, Mike. Sorry.
it's all good.
I mean, it might come back, but what are the odds?
Yes,
what are the
I know.
chances of that same dog man coming back to that same exact spot just to see me there? You know, I don't see that happening.
Okay.
No.
Okay, here's the thing. If there's a monster, okay, if it might be a similar, hell, I see a possible area. So you never know.
I mean, it's not like this dog man's going to go, oh, hey, that's Ryan. Sup, dude? He's not going to come down from the mountains to see me. You know, so I just go back.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
He probably pull a Colin, actually. If he did talk at all and he saw me, he'd probably pull a Colin and be like, oh, that asshole again? No, I'm done. Bye.
Ryan,
Yeah,
we told
yeah.
you need to put on that dog man pee perfume and it'll come back.
So are they? There's any kind of reference to them being communal animals, or are they just nomadic?
You know, I think they're nomadic. Honestly, I think it's gotten to the point with these things that they just don't like us humans. They don't trust us. It's not that they don't like us. They just don't trust us. They've seen what we're capable of, and they don't like it. They don't trust it. So when they see us, they're like, oh, crap, you guys, run. You know, if we see one, if we see one, it's an accident.
I think they're pissed off at modern man personally. They're
I
all
do
kind
too.
of picked off at us.
I agree, Mike. I do. I think
Yeah.
you know, they've seen what we've done, you know, throughout history, and they're going, God, these guys suck. These humans are terrible. These hairless beings are awful.
Well, that's true.
I think different. I have a different opinion on that because I track them and I hunt. You know, there's more than one or two. I believe that they do have families. They have scouts that go out in front in search of new territory, and the
Right.
other ones sit back at the territory that they were at before. That's
Yeah.
why you get the wood knocks and stuff like that, because it's telling them that it's okay to continue on and where to go.
Oh yeah, and I'm
So
sure they send out
You're
decoys
right.
as well. You know,
You're
you
right,
get a
Al.
female with a child. You know, the male's going to distract you. The female gets away.
Yeah, but
Right.
nomadic doesn't mean isolationist, does it?
No.
Right.
No, I think
I
some
mean,
of
look
them.
at the Siberian tribes. I mean,
Yeah. Well, if you look at certain kinds of Sasquatch, like if you look at the Gugwe,
Yeah,
I think the Gugwe are more likely to take up residence in some places. You know, because I mean, they hunt for for food. They hunt humans for food when they can. So if they come upon a place that's like a sweet spot where there's a lot of humans and a lot of wildlife like dogs or whatever, they're going to stay right there because that's where the sweet spot is. That's where the food's at. Now the other types, I don't think they're going to really stick around too long.
So
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like,
You're good, Tim.
we are domesticating these creatures by moving into their territory. They're losing their ability to go hunt and capture and everything when it's easier to go and forage in a dumpster because it's right there. You know, it like what you were saying with Ryan. Like, why leave a sweet spot? Why go back out into the wilderness where maybe there's a drought in Texas and all the wild edibles and stuff are not able to be foraged, and I could stay 20 miles away from the city and come in every other day at night and get what I want from the McDonald's dumpster.
Right. That's why I don't agree with the people that habituate these things. You know, because that just comes off as so dangerous to me. Sure, they seem friendly and timid at first because you're feeding them. You're feeding them on a daily basis. What happens when you forget to feed them? When you don't have the money to feed them anymore? They're going to get angry. They're going to look for food and just, hey, we're hungry, and well, you look like food to me.
Well, you can learn that from any wildcat trainer. You know.
Yeah, it's like feeding bears.
People that raise wild cats, and when they run out of food, when they run out of money and can't feed them meat, the cats turn on them.
Right, or bears. I mean, bears do it all the time too. You don't feed them, so they try to break into your house and get what you got in there.
Right.
Yeah, so habituation is a big no-no. I always tell people, don't ever habituate them.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, Matt, I talked to this guy the other day. You're going to find this really interesting and a bit terrifying. He's describing Bigfoot on his property. He says he has a big group of Bigfoot, like 17 or 18 tribe members, right? And he didn't describe them as the patty. Yeah, it's not the patty type that you see in the Gimlin film. It's the baboon face. Now, Matt, you know where I'm going with this when I say baboon face.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's excited because these things like to show up when his little 5-year-old daughter is playing out alone in the yard. And I'm trying to tell him, that's not a good thing. If they're coming around your daughter,
that's not really.
They're going to eat her.
He's excited that they're around his 5-year-old child.
Yeah, he encourages it. He's so excited. He has her go out holding food and sitting and trying to eat with these things. I'm telling him, don't do that. They're going to pick her up. I'm like, okay, here we go. Right.
Oh,
yeah.
You see why I was getting worried about that, Colin. When he was saying that his little girl is interacting with these things, I'm going, yo, stop that right away.
Yes, please.
It's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's actually face ones.
Hold on, my signal's breaking.
All right, Matt,
up.
do what you got to do, brother.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you, dude.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's
I mean,
not good. Like
No.
you're
Whenever
seeing that
there's been a-
child as the next tree.
Might let somebody else get in. will
Yeah,
you?
see her on the face. I see her. Right.
Yeah, right when he
Come on,
started describing them, though, when he started describing what they looked like, I started to panic a little bit, because a baboon face, that's a gugly. And gugglies are
Yeah.
notorious for being
Yeah,
monsters.
sorry. No.
So when he's saying,
That's
oh,
a
yeah, they come
straight up
around.
good way.
Yeah, when they're like, oh, well, they come around when my daughter's outside by herself, I'm going, dude, what about that
Yeah.
sister?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see
You
why.
need to show him that picture of the Gugway holding the doll.
I did.
Yes.
I did. He was like, yeah, that's what I see. That's what I see. Now I'm going, and you're letting your daughter outside with those things? Are you nuts?
Yeah, I didn't say
Right.
it.
I mean, next
Oh,
photo
yeah.
we get would be one of them holding his daughter in its hand.
Yeah.
What's up, Colin?
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
17.
That's just.
That's a lot
See,
of
that's
what
the
we
thing.
call.
People. See, that's what I'm talking about. People believe that these creatures. It's like having them at a zoo. They believe
See,
that feeding these things and stuff. It's like here in Texas. Old people will sit and buy deer corn that's used to bait deer for hunting. But old people will buy the deer corn and bait the deers into their yard just to watch them. Like, oh, that adorable deer. Oh, look, I'll feed you a handful of corn. And they don't see the destruction and everything that the deers do to other people's yards. And running into cars and everything. And these people that are feeding the Sasquatches, bringing them into their houses, bringing them into cul-de-sacs or wherever they are, they don't understand. If they see another human, they're going to expect the exact same thing from that human. And if that human doesn't do anything, they're going to attack it.
Yeah.
Humans are stupid.
well, dude, I call it the Harry and the Henderson syndrome. Everybody thinks the damn things are sweet and lovable, and you can bring them into your home and feed them, and they make the perfect pets. And the whole time they're sizing you up to eat you with the blackberries.
Mm-hmm. Yep. See, in my opinion,
and
though,
this is why I'm saying, if a Sasquatch gets captured, the government or whoever is going to make a shitload of money off of it because of people like that.
Yeah.
Put it in a zoo, put it in a cage, pay $2 for a cut up apple, and throw it to the Sasquatch.
Yeah, so selling $6. $6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The majority of humanity is a bunch of sheep. They don't care. They don't understand what it truly is.
Yeah, it's just see. Oh, it's a sin. Let's see it. No, idiots. It's a lot here. It's a lot here. No, first and foremost. And it's still children. Right.
Right. I mean, it is. Yeah. I mean, it's a wild. It's a wild creature.
Exactly.
It's a creature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a sin. Okay, 60. So, no, 60. No, so this is. No, see, I guess it's awesome. No. It's not that.
Right.
I like the idea of having a pet as necessary. I know that it's not possible because it's dangerous.
all right, guys, I will be right back again.
All right, brother.
All right, take care, bro.
Alright.
We'll be
I'll be
here.
back with you.
And you see, folks anthropomorphize these things too, and make them try to give them human characteristics and human traits that they act like us. When these things, they behave
True.
and think on levels that are well beyond us and our understanding. But
Yeah.
we prefer to think of them more like us, and that's far from the truth.
I mean,
We always try to we always try to humanize animals because
no.
we think we're the superior being. Like if it doesn't act like us, because it walks on two legs, it should be human, you know? Like no.
I mean,
Bears walk on two legs. Do you see it being human?
yeah, no. It's a. I mean, I think if he's just like, I don't know. If he's really domesticated, it's if it's just eight, then it's just constantly. If it is children, you see anthropomorphize. Yes, it's like my humans. They're not humans.
All right, family. I got to get off here, but if y'all are still on in a little bit, I will try to hop back on and continue to talk with y'all.
All right.
Hey, it was great meeting you, Mike.
You too, man.
Colin, you take care of yourself. Nubby, Dave, and Ryan. I love y'all. Y'all take care.
Love you, brother.
Bye, fam.
Bye, man.
See
Have a
you
good
later.
night.
Bye-bye.
I can't believe I've kept it clean this long, so that's amazing.
Yeah, you do. You and me both, as it happens, Mike. I've got to be honest with you. I've got a bit of form for lapsing into the vernacular.
I can be serious when I need to be.
Yeah, I think
Clean.
under stress, I'm the same. So when they were talking about this, you know, the people coming across Bigfoot and Sasquatch and that, and I sort of get the feeling from you that you're quite acutely aware that they're dangerous. Is there experiences you're aware of, or what makes you so like totally convinced about that?
Oh, that's because I've dealt with them here on my farm.
That's what I was hoping you would say. You would start to explain it, really.
Yeah, they're. My family has come to find out, as I'm still discovering, my family has a long history on our properties here in Virginia, up here towards the Appalachia. We've had a long and interesting history with these things, and they don't care too much for us being on the property. But there's not a lot that we can do about it. They're violent, they're destructive, they're threatening. A week doesn't go by where something has happened that I can definitely say that they had their furry mitts in on the property, whether it's missing animals, whether it's a piece of a barn that's torn down, whether it's fencing that's been completely destroyed, or whether something has rung the doorknobs off the back door of our house, trying to get into the house, or something's knocking on the windows at night when I'm not here, and my wife and my daughter are here by themselves, and something is stomping around the porch that goes around the house. They're not friendly. I've been trying to find some common ground or perhaps some peaceful solution to make this end, but it doesn't seem like it's going to anytime soon. So we're all acutely aware of our surroundings at night when we have to travel across the yard at night. My property is about 200 acres or so. It's a fairly large piece of property that's been in our family for a very, very, very long time. The house has been here for a very long time. And I believe they've been here for a very long time, and my family's been aware of them for the generations. It's just something that a lot of the older folks don't speak of unless you give them no other choice but to talk about it.
And I have returned, and I missed out on a good story, didn't I, Mike?
No, it's okay. I'm gonna keep prompting him. I'm not gonna let it drop just yet. So, how often is this something happening when it's some kind of something going on? Is it almost daily? Is it weekly? How often is something happening?
It really depends, and I'm not joking. It really depends on the weather. When it's not incredibly rainy or windy out here, we can expect something on a daily basis to happen, or to see something, or to be standing near the cornfield, and you know there's something there watching you in the cornfield.
Oh my
And
god, I
right when
did
you
miss out on some good stuff. Mike, I need
and
to
right
get
when
you
you
on my
yeah,
show.
Yeah,
and
you
right when
do,
you turn
Ryan.
around to leave, the corn starts
Yeah,
swinging
I
as
see
something's
that.
walking away from you.
You know
Okay,
what, Mike?
so
I don't want to know too much right now, Mike. So it's
Yeah,
okay. I got to run anyway. But Mike, I want to get you on my show. Would you be willing to do that?
yeah, dude, just contact me. I'm always on Twitter.
All right. I don't want any spoilers, but you guys go ahead, talk amongst yourselves. I got to split anyway.
All
But
right, brother.
all right,
all
it was
right,
a
Ryan.
pleasure being up here, guys. Dave, Nubs, Mike, pleasure, and
Good seeing you,
Colin.
man.
I mean it from the bottom of my heart when I say you're an asshole. No, I love you, bro.
Wow.
I
Take
love
it
you.
easy, Ryan.
All right, take it easy, Ryan.
Take it
All right,
easy.
everybody have a great night.
You too,
Bye.
brother.
Bye bye.
Have a good night, man.
So, go on, Colin. Go on. Did you have a question, Colin?
Oh yeah, sorry. No, so do you know he's since
I'm sorry, dude. I don't have a good reception. I couldn't understand
No,
you.
did
I apologize.
he says? Do you have a clue what they are? Are they Bigfoot? Are they? Do you know what they actually are?
It's a type of Bigfoot, I believe.
that's
It's not the ones from the Pacific Northwest that are 11 feet tall or so. The big guys. These things probably top out about 8 or 9 feet, based on what we've seen in the woods and from the limbs that are broken off the trees out across our creek back in our woods. Where they reach up and pull them down, it's about 8 or 9 feet off the ground. So they're big critters. They're big critters. I'm sorry.
Are you having a lot of sightings yourself? Are you? Is there a lot of sightings of these type of creatures around your area?
You might laugh about this, but yeah, there are plenty of sightings in our area from other people besides me. We have two family businesses here on the property, and one that's off the property that's in the local township here that we have our storefront in. And the locals actually, they've seen things. They'll talk about it. Although they laugh at me because they've heard my stories and I'm the crazy Bigfoot man here in town.
Right. Yeah.
But they say it in a nice way because, in all honesty, they've had their dealings with it. But out here where we live, there's a lot of people who are scared that their reputations will be tarnished if word gets out that they've seen something or they believe in something. It's actually taken me almost a decade before I started talking about it, before things kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I felt like I needed to come out and start talking about it and start sharing my story, before something happens and the story gets buried with time and buried within my family and never makes its way out.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, would you say out of your family then? I mean, this might be difficult to answer because of obviously the generations and that. But out of your family, are you the most vocal about your experiences? Are you the most forthcoming about what happens?
Yes, I am. And let me just I'm just gonna probably drop a few words here. Oh gosh, hold on. I gotta get myself ready when I start talking about this. I went to my family for answers about what was happening on our properties, because I have ownership over several family properties besides the primary farm that's right here. I've gone to the oldest members of our family about it. They know stuff. They refuse to share it with me because they're scared. They're scared of it, and they're scared of their reputations. They're absolutely terrified to talk about it. But I've been able to squeeze it out of a number of the older surviving members of my family about things they've seen growing up, the stories they've heard growing up that were passed down. the superstitions my family has, the do's and don'ts about going into certain parts of our property, what we do, what we don't do. Our family, it is really flippin' twisted that they just won't talk. I mean, it's ridiculous because I tell them, hey, I've got my wife here. I've got 2 children, well, they're adults that live with me. I have people who live and work on my property. This stuff is dangerous. Come on, tell me what you know so I can prepare myself for it, so I can prepare everybody around me, so I can protect them and maybe understand what the hell is happening to us out here.
Yeah.
But it's that Southern pride. It's that mountain superstition that's in our family. It's like pulling teeth to get any information, and what little bits and pieces I've gotten have absolutely scared the hell out of me. So, and also made the mystery deeper about my family's relationship with these damn things.
That was a really good answer. I suppose another one would be, sorry, but I won't mind chatting on mine as well if you ever get the time, by the way. There was... has there been anybody in your family that you're aware of that sort of like had a sort of even more kind of intimate sort of relationship with them, or sort of understood them better, or has it always been hushed and been a little this like sort of fear with them? If you understand what I'm trying to get at.
My great grandma Ola Sims, I spent summers at her house up in the mountains, which is, just as you probably would imagine, it was a 1-room house, deep in the woods of the Appalachia. And she was the local witch woman in town. And she would, and I never, because growing up with her, they would just tell me to ignore some of the crazy stuff that she said, that she was a crazy old woman, to ignore the things that she told me, But she would always tell us kids, she'd always give us a basket of bread or a basket of some local fruit, usually an apple or a pear. And she would always tell us to take it across the creek and put it on the stump. And we'd always go, why? She said, oh, that's for the old wild man out there. She said, you go down there, hurry up and put it out there, and you come right back. Don't you stay down there. Don't ever stay past your time. When you put it on there, you come right back across that creek and come back to the house. So she would always have us take bread and fruit down there. And sometimes jars of her preserves that she would take the cap off of. We just thought it was one of the local homeless, crazy people that lived in the woods, or one of the moonshiners out there in the woods.
Yeah.
But once this started happening here on the property, it dawned on me. Granny Ola was telling us to feed these damn things, to give it an offering. It had to have been.
As a sort of appeasement. Sorry, Mike. As a sort of appeasement kind of thing to sort of say they left you alone.
Yes, I truly believe that. I truly believe that.
Wow.
And her children and their children, who were my parents, and my aunts and my uncles, they did similar things growing up too in rituals, but they refused to talk about it. But this is something the family has done for generations out there in the woods. Something that community has done for generations up there in the woods.
Do you?
Sorry, I'm shaking whenever I start talking. I start thinking about it.
No, it's fine. You're 200 acres on the principal farm. Obviously, that's where you're living now. It's a fair distance to your next set of neighbours. Certainly a bigger distance than it is typically here in the UK. So do you communicate with the neighbours about sightings and experiences, or is it just completely like a blackout or any kind of communication about it?
Well, the closest is Mr. Jenkins, Donald Jenkins. He raises cattle in the closest farm, dairy cattle that's closest to us. And his property butts up against our property. And I one time told him that he could take the fence down and come across on our property and, bring his cows over and they could graze and feed over there, and some of his animals could come over there and graze and feed. So it was a really nice field that was next to his property. He looked at me and he said with a straight face, there's no way on God's green earth or in all the hells will I bring any of my animals over on your property.
Hmm.
Now, I mean, he's a nice guy and his wife is amazing, but he was serious as a heart attack. He will not set foot on the wilder parts of our property at all. And he won't let any of his animals stray over there either.
So is
Which
it
freaks me.
Yeah.
suggesting that you
I don't. Sorry.
No, you don't. Just go on, Colin. You're all right.
I was gonna say, that's like,
Have they been seen a lot? Have neighbours seen them? Has anybody seen them?
No.
Yes.
No.
They know they're there. They've seen it. You should see some of the prime pasture land that's going to waste because they're afraid to go into that property and do anything with it or take any animals out there or spend any time out there working on it. Because if they didn't know something was out there, why wouldn't they be out there doing it?
Oh, yes.
We don't go out there because I've dealt with these damn things. I'm not going out there alone ever again. And I'm not going out there without more than 10 people with me at any time. To spend any time out there afterwards.
Yeah.
That's very understandable.
Yeah, this seems to have like a very active type of this. And I think it's definitely.
What was up, Life Adventure?
I'm sorry.
When they have been seen, are they just like are they just hairy creatures, or are they got like human-like type features as well on them?
The silhouettes that we've seen of them and the shadows of them, they do appear to be shaggy creatures. Very tall. I haven't got a good look at their face. I've seen their hands, and their hands are. They look like farmer hands, if that makes sense. They're very gnarled, very strong hands.
Got you, Callan. Have you ever put cameras of anything? Sorry, Mike. Have you ever put cameras out of anything to see them, to capture footage of them?
Sorry, give me a moment.
Yeah, you're okay. It's just a question that Carlin's asking.
No, it's okay. These things are... They move the damn cameras.
So they know that they know you're trying to capture footage of them then?
Dude, we've seen hands on the cameras moving the damn cameras. That's how come I've seen their hands. They turn them around or they pull them off the damn tree, and I'll find them hanging from a limb on the next tree down from it. Where they'll pull off the damn straps and hang them up down there. They know they're watching us when we're putting the cameras out there. Dude, the last time we had a camera out there, it was on my back porch, and something took a stick and shoved it through the lens on the front of it. And we haven't put another camera out there since then.
This shouldn't sound like really exhausting. Like, damn, that's never this to do that. Like, to have sense.
It is, dude. It's absolutely
basically
terrifying.
Saying that these things sound really aggressive.
And I believe they get a great deal of joy out of knowing how terrifying they are. I truly believe that. And it might be me attributing human values and human emotions to them. Why keep doing this if you're not enjoying it? I don't understand it.
So it almost sort of suggests that they're doing it to try and scare you off the land that your family's had for hundreds of years, but that they've laid claim to over a longer period.
Dude, it's because of something we did, and I truly believe that. When I first took over this property, it was in a bad state. I was going to build a house on the northwestern part of the property, across a couple of our creeks down there towards the bases of the mountains here. I was going to go out there. And I was out there with a friend. We had some large earth movers and some tree cutting equipment, and that's when they first started up. And every day we went out to the bulldozers and to where the power saws were at, we'd find very large rocks and broken limbs all around the equipment, the heavy earth movers and stuff like that. That went on for 7 days or so. And on the 8th day, they let us know, we went armed. We thought it was the locals screwing with us. They were coming over there and, doing the good old boy thing and fucking with us, because we refused to sell any of the property off. When I took over the property, I refused to sell any of it off. It was in our family, and I was going to keep it in our family, and I figured I had pissed off some of the locals. But we smelled them at first. It was a horrible smell, like a horse that had been in the barn that had not been cleaned in a very long time, that was wet. And then that's when we started hearing the limbs breaking. And we started hearing the grunts in the woods. And that's when the rocks started raining down around us again. And they sounded like they were all around us, except for directly behind us where the trail was that would lead back to the house. My friend who was with me, his nickname is Duty, which if anybody ever wants me to explain why we call him that, I'll be happy to explain that. He looked at me and he grabbed me by the arm. He says, "We need to leave now, and we need to back out of here now." And we both had shotguns. We both had 12-gauge Mossberg shotguns, pump shotguns. But we were too damn scared to use them, because we both thought if we took a shot at anything in those woods, we were going to piss it off. And there were too many of them and too few of us. And we backed out of there. We started going in, and we got the hell out of there as fast as possible. And that's when the activity really started picking up. It kept getting closer and closer to the main house until now it's literally in our backyard, in our front yard. So,
do you think they recognised? I mean, I take it you went out with the Mossberg pump. She was like rocking buckshot or slugs or something like that. Do you think they recognised the fact that you carried a weapon and saw you as a threat, and that's why they started to rain stones on you, or they were deliberately doing it to funnel you back towards the direction of your property, your house?
To be honest with you, I think it was a declaration. I don't know if it was a declaration of war or a declaration of you've broken the pact with us. Because recently, this past summer, I went to my great aunt Inez Tuscan, and I was begging her for information because she grew up on this property. And I was begging her for information about the property, what's going on. And the only thing she did, she kept looking at me very intently, and she would pause every once in a while and interrupt me and ask, is your wife okay? Is your kid? The kids are okay, right? And I would go, yeah, they're fine. And then she would let me finish telling her what was going on, and she looked at me as serious as I've ever seen her. And she said, "You haven't cut down the apple tree, have you?" And I just looked at her and I said, "Annie, what the hell does that mean? I haven't cut down the apple tree." And she wouldn't say anything else. She just shut her mouth up and turned around and stared at the wall. And that was our family's universal sign of, I'm not going to ever talk about this again with you. So we got up and left. But apparently this apple tree on our property, and it was here when we came here, and it's a very old, very gnarled apple tree, incredibly old. I don't recognize the species of it. People have told me that maybe it's a crab apple. I've been a farmer most of my life. I know what a crabapple looks like,
Yeah, of
but
course, yeah.
we can't exactly um, identify the species of it. But nothing eats the apples. It never gets a disease. The apples disappear, but it never gets a disease. There's no insects that bother it. The squirrels don't bother it. The local wildlife doesn't bother it whatsoever. And it's a huge, huge old tree that marks the property that was developed by my family on the far end of the property. And after that, it's nothing but woods and trails past that. It's not developed whatsoever.
Mhm.
And I think that tree was a border mark. It was a border marking or a
Right.
pact that my family made with them
Is it?
that we wouldn't cross that if they didn't cross, we wouldn't cross it. And that tree was for them. It showed us where their property began and ours ended, and
Yeah.
where our right ended. Our rights ended and theirs began. I didn't cut down the tree, but I sure as hell crossed over and I started developing the fields that laid beyond it. And it was well beyond that tree is where we first encountered them. And they've since come out of the mountains and out of the woods and showed their collective asses off.
Yeah, it certainly sounds that way. So, because I was going to say, do you have a sort of idea what type of area beyond your property that they're inhabiting? Have you got a bit of an idea where they're at?
They're against the mountains. They're on the first encounter was on the northwestern part of the property, which is truly nestled because I live in a county called Blue Ridge, Virginia, which is literally, and our farm is literally against the Blue Ridge Mountains. And that's where they're at. They're against the mountainside, and the wild's against the mountainside. And it's a hardwood forest too back there. Very few very few pine trees, very few cedars. It's mostly hardwood back there, oaks and elms and maples.
Hmm.
Very untouched.
So what does this say? Northern lives in the mountains, which is in the.
I'm sorry, Colin?
This says it's in the right.
Yeah, dude. I think that's where. I think that's when I said earlier that I believe these things follow territorial routes. They follow migratory patterns. That this property is a place they come to either overwinter, over summer.
Right.
I think it's a gathering place for them. And my family knew that. Because beyond this property is where my great-grandma Ola lived. And it was close to this property in the mountains where we'd always bring the food to the wild man of the mountains. So she refused to leave the mountains. She would never come out of the hills. Grandma Ola wouldn't. She would never come out of the hills. She was terrified to leave the mountain. So I wonder why.
Yeah, there's certainly inferences to she knew what they were capable of beyond a shadow of a doubt. I mean, obviously your experiences are quite profound and obviously in depth, detailed, and massively memorable. It's just had an effect, and it's got to have done for all the other members of your family, especially like you say your grandma. I kind of want to know whereabouts in Virginia is it you live in?
It's in northwestern Virginia. It's a town. It's a town called Blue Ridge. It's called Blue Ridge, Virginia. If you Google it, you'll discover it. And the name of our farm is Wild Wolf Farms. So that was my name. Before it was just called Coleman, but it's Wild Wolf Farms now. And it's an agrarian area. The town itself of Blue Ridge is quite quaint. It's beautiful. It's a tourist attraction. Brings a lot of people in who like to go take pretty pictures of the mountainside, but get told that they're not allowed to go on to trespass on anybody's property to get any closer to the mountains.
Yeah.
Because I don't allow people on the property. I don't allow hunters on the property.
Yeah.
I don't allow thrill seekers. I don't allow those randonautica people, which I recently had to remove some of them off the property because
get me started on them.
Yeah, well, apparently they made it through the gate.
So, you don't allow anyone in the family to investigate anything?
You allow people on your property to investigate anything?
I allow 2 people to do it one time. The first one was an asshole. He's quite well known in the cryptid and cryptozoology world. He's been on television.
Okay.
He was highly insulting because he wanted to sensationalize what was going on. I was insulted by it. I did not bring him here. I brought him here to help me. I did not bring him here to make him more famous.
Yeah,
and that
absolutely.
was the feeling I was getting from the a-hole.
Yeah.
So on the 3rd day of him being here, I told him and his team to pack their bags and get the hell out.
Yeah, but in more colourful language, no doubt.
Well, I was trying to be polite, but we signed no contracts. They were here by my invitation, and they were sent out by my invitation, sent away by my invitation. It was disgusting. I mean, I wanted help. I did not want my family dragged through the mud and thought we were more crazy than what I actually appeared to be.
Understood. Absolutely. I totally understand that. So did your family have any Native American blood in the bloodline?
Yes.
Yeah.
Apparently there's some Cherokee floating around somewhere.
Yeah. Do you think
saw my
that
great grandma
has,
Ola?
it's sort of you can see just by looking at her physicalities that it's in the blood, yeah?
Yeah, it's there. It's there. She was proud of it too.
Do you think that they know that there's that kind of bloodline and that's sort of the attraction, or you think it is just based off the fact that you're on their land in their eyes?
I think they recognize bloodlines and that I wasn't keeping my family's end of the bargain that my family made so long ago with them. And this is conjecture based on what I could pull from my family and pull together from them and bits and pieces of lore about my family and these things. That I broke that pact by doing that. I insulted them, highly insulted them by what I did. And now all bets are off. Because trust me, I have a very wonderful young lady that we know who's the head of an amazing coven that's here right outside of Richmond, Virginia. She came in to try to help me communicate with them on a spiritual level. I've tried to communicate with them on a physical and spiritual level. And the only emotion that we get from them is animosity and anger and hatred. I do not know how to deal with them. I honestly don't.
You sort of preempted my next question, really, because I was going to say to you, do you think there is any kind of way to sort of like recompense this sort of wrong that you've done, or you've sort of answered that, really?
I think when I die, and because my son is up for taking over the farm. He's taken over. He's working on it. He handles most of the daily business with the businesses we have anyway. He knows not to go beyond certain points on the property. He knows not to make his father's mistakes. I think when there's proof of my passing, they may treat the next generation slightly better, I hope. But that's me hoping. I don't know what's going to happen. But that's me hoping.
Okay. Yeah, that's a little bit final, but I do understand what you're saying with that. It sort of levels the playing field a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes.
That's why these things are intelligent. They're dangerous. They exist on a plane that's far above ours.
Well,
We attribute them as we call them animals, because we have no other way of describing them and their behavior. I don't think of them as animals. I think of them as other.
Yeah, I understand that. That makes sense. Your audio's dropped a bit, by the way, Mike. I don't know if you've knocked the mic off.
Sorry.
It's okay. No, it's just that your audio's. I don't know if it is the settings on your phone or your laptop or whatever it is you're using.
I tell you that our house has a lot of paranormal issues.
It's right. It's okay. I've got to cut off anyway myself now, Mike. I've actually just looked and I've got you on Twitter, and it seems I've had you on Twitter for a long time. But I'll contact you if you're up for coming on one of my streams and chatting. There's a few people in the UK that I'd like to hear what you've got to say. I'm sure if you're up for it. If you're not, I totally understand and respect that as well completely. Okay, cool. Well, I just didn't want you to think that it was being taken for granted or assumed or anything, because that's not our role,
No.
My BS detector is quite sensitive, and I do not sense BS from you, so.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Right. Well, I've got to cut out of here, me Nubsy. It's been nearly 3 hours.
oh yeah, I was glad. Anyway, it's about 3 hour mark.
Okay, so cheers for the chat, Mike. I appreciate that. I'll give you a buzz on Twitter if that's okay at some stage.
Yeah, thank you all for. Please do. Thank you for thank you, Dubs, for letting me come on and get the.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's been good. And cheers, Carlin, and likewise, Nubs. Thanks for having me up here, brother.
Anytime.
See you later, guys. Yeah.
Night, guys. See you later.
Take it easy, Mike. Bye bye. See you later, Carlin. See you later, Nubsy. Bye bye.
Well, guys, this was fun. Next week we are going to be talking about Dogman. And then the next time I do it won't be the week after, but it will be the week after the week after. And I will be talking about the Mothman. So please be prepared. And it's going to be, hey, Christine. It's just going to be fun, and I'm excited. Hey, I'm glad you made it, Gillian. But yeah, tonight's been really fun. I'm glad everybody came. All right, Dave. But I would definitely see y'all. I think Thursday is my next live stream, and that's gonna be with Dakota. Yeah, that's gonna be with Dakota. And we are going to be doing Kentucky and Tennessee that night. But thank you everybody for coming again. I appreciate it. Y'all are the best. And I love y'all. Bye. Just kidding. I'm going to stay for another minute and get at least 3 hours in. Because why not, right? Get a 3 hour mark. Oh, you're fine. We actually had a really awesome topic and conversation tonight. And I cannot wait until next week when we do the Dogman. But I want to appreciate all of y'all for coming again. And next week, I will see y'all Tuesday. And then Friday, I have a stream, and it's going to be Scary Movie Friday. But I have a couple streams coming up. You can see them on my homepage, all my future live streams. But until next time, I will probably see y'all Monday night on Grinch's stream and premiere. But I love you guys. Y'all have a good one.